Chapter 910. Zhang Xiaobao only suggested a few options, but did not directly specify which one was the most suitable. This was because he did not know how to do it better. If the imperial court finally came up with a plan, he would participate, but not lead. When Wang Wan left with him, Li Longji and the others no longer continued to pay attention to the running of the train. They flew directly into the palace on the hot air balloon and gathered important ministers to discuss this matter. On the way back, Wang Wan held Zhang Xiaobao's arm and asked softly, "Xiaobao, tell me the truth. Do you know how to climb the train?" Zhang Xiaobao shook his head twice and said firmly, "No, I really don't." "Why not? You learned a lot of your skills in prison. Don't tell me there aren't any legendary experts in prison?" Wang Wan asked. "There are masters, but there are no masters who can climb the train at least 200 kilometers per hour. Do you think the train of the railway gorillas in the documentary film? Do you want to learn? Then we can try using the current trains." When Zhang Xiaobao answered, the scene of a train flashed in his mind. He could not help but shiver. From Chang'an to Tibet, the train that left in the morning and arrived in the evening referred to this kind of train. There was the fastest train, and it even saved more time than taking a plane to and from Tibet. There was no master who could climb such a train. Wang Wan smiled and leaned on Zhang Xiaobao. "That's more like it. I thought that my husband was not an ordinary person, but it turns out that there are also people who can't do it. Then, tell me, will there be people who climb the train halfway through? I'm afraid that someone will accidentally get stabbed to death, and I can't specially open a class for them to teach them what to pay attention to when climbing the train. After hearing what you said, I'm really worried. The train route can't be like the river from Sanshui County, where there are bailiffs patrolling 24 hours a day. If that's really the case, it's better to use small carts to push the goods. The cost is too high. If there are strong young men who want to take a free train, they can just run a few steps, especially when the train has just left the station." Zhang Xiaobao thought of the situation when a train was moving on the tracks. Especially when the truck arrived at a certain station, after filling up with water and coal, it started moving slowly and did not go too far. After thinking about it, Zhang Xiaobao shook his head helplessly. "Your words remind me of India. 100 years ago, the trains were packed with people. Even in our time, it's still packed with people. I can't help but admire it. Why don't we arrange a few people to hold down the train? Anyone who is caught climbing on the train will be severely punished. If you meet someone whose family isn't that rich to begin with, how would you judge? If he was locked up, how would his family survive? Fine and no money? Let's not talk about India. As long as the racial system doesn't disappear, it won't be a good day. They're so stupid. They only know how to buy weapons, but when they buy them back, they can't use them. After fighting 2 small-scale local wars, the weapons are used up. Then they spend money to buy more weapons and try to have more children. They have more people than our country. Do you think we should carry out propaganda and education?" Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao were the same. One moment they talked about this, and the next moment they talked about something else. Walking on the road, Zhang Xiaobao raised a hand that was not held by Wang Wan and casually moved it. He led Wang Wan into a small restaurant nearby. Coincidentally, there was a table by the window where someone had just finished eating. The two of them stood there and waited for the waiter to clean up. They casually ordered 2 plates of rice wine and prepared to eat. It seems that Takeshita Junichiro is anxious. Zhang Xiaobao's lips moved. Wang Wan blinked twice to show that she understood, because on the road, she also saw the people behind them. To be precise, they were thieves. It had been several days since she saw them by the lake that day. She had already investigated the origins of this group of people. She just couldn't figure out how they were going to do it. Were they stupid and didn't know her and Xiaobao's identity? Didn't they know how much the two of them valued their safety? "I think the propaganda and education you mentioned just now is fine." Zhang Xiaobao changed the topic back to the previous matter. "Since you said it's fine, why don't you take out a feasibility report? How do you plan to do it?" Wang Wan saw that her proposal was approved by Zhang Xiaobao and was very happy. She glanced at the two people who had just entered and no longer paid attention to them. There's no need to write a plan. We just need to catch him and bring him back to his village. We will write a big sign and hang it around his neck and parade him through the streets. We can even make a trip to the villages that are not related to him. Let him and his family lose face. He won't dare to do it again in the future. After Zhang Xiaobao finished speaking, he raised his head and drank more than half a bowl of warm rice wine. He raised his arm to wipe the sweat on his forehead and looked around. He grinned and said, "A small restaurant is just a small restaurant. It doesn't even have a fan. It's so hot. You can just put an ice basin by the side. Don't nitpick. If we really install a fan, we will have to renovate the restaurant and increase the price of the dishes. Take it off when it's hot." Wang Wan rolled her eyes at Zhang Xiaobao. Her voice wasn't loud, but it could be heard by the people around them. "It's not good to take it off, is it? It's not elegant." Zhang Xiaobao replied shyly. "Who's looking at you? You're so ugly." "Oh." Zhang Xiaobao replied with an He really took off his shirt and casually threw it on a stool at the side of the aisle. He continued to drink with his upper body bared. The people around them looked at Zhang Xiaobao in surprise. In the whole restaurant, he was the only one who dared to take off his shirt. Even the women who were eating couldn't help but glance at him. It couldn't be helped. He was too eye-catching. His skin was so white that it was obvious that he was from a rich family. However, the pieces of flesh on his body that were pleasing to the eye gave people another kind of feeling. It was a combination of contradictions. "Shameless," Wang Wan muttered in a low voice, and then asked, "You said just now that you want people to hang a big sign. It seems that you don't respect people. They also have human rights." "Human rights or human life? Human rights? Do you want to give him a vote? Does he think that he's from our Sanshui County? Let's do it this way. Anyone who dares to climb on the bus in the future will hang a big sign and parade on the streets. There are people selling popsicles outside. Go and buy 2 for me." Zhang Xiaobao didn't care and insisted on his idea. When he turned his head, he just happened to see a person carrying a box wrapped in cotton cloth on his shoulder. He didn't need that person to shout to know what it was for. During the summer, there were many people who specialized in selling popsicles. The real white sugar popsicles cost 1 copper coin for 2. They were big and sweet. "Won't he come over if you shout? Why don't you let the waiter go? I don't like to move in hot weather," Wang Wan said with a pout. "Just do as I say. Otherwise, I won't be able to control you." Zhang Xiaobao stared at her. "Yes. Husband, please wait for a moment. I'll be right back." Wang Wan glanced at Zhang Xiaobao and left her seat. She went outside to buy popsicles. Zhang Xiaobao sat there and drank a mouthful of wine. He held his stomach and looked at the waiter. The waiter was also smart. He pointed inside. There was a side door. Zhang Xiaobao quickly rushed over. "This person told me to buy popsicles and ran away. Waiter, did you see my husband?" After a while, Wang Wan came back with a popsicle in each hand. She glanced around and didn't see Zhang Xiaobao. She muttered to the waiter, "Replying to you, I saw him. It's hot." So he went to the back to cool down. He probably drank too much water. The waiter replied very tactfully. He didn't directly say that her husband couldn't hold it in and went to the bathroom. After all, there were still people eating. Lazy people shit a lot. Wang Wan didn't care. She cursed and put down the popsicle. She took the clothes that Zhang Xiaobao took off and put them on the stool and pressed them beside her. Not long after, Zhang Xiaobao came back with a relaxed expression. He first looked at the seats where the 2 people who had followed them in were sitting. When he realized that they had already left, he sat back down and picked up a popsicle. They left. I watched the 2 of them leave. Stupid people are stupid people. We still have to find opportunities with them. Takeshita Junichiro found such a person. It's not that I'm looking down on him, but he's really not an opponent on the same level. Wang Wan curled her lips and picked up a popsicle to eat. However, Zhang Xiaobao grabbed it. "It's cold. Don't you know what's wrong with you? You can't even touch cold water, and you still want to eat popsicles. You've been nurturing yourself, well, since you were young. Are you planning to go all out? Yes, I know my mistake. This time, the sea is going to be chaotic. Won't Shinluo and Japan go crazy fighting? Wang Wan was at the sunflower stage and had already formed a habit. Every time this happened, Zhang Xiaobao would not let her touch cold things. At night, he would cover her waist with a blanket from time to time when she slept. Other women had never had a sore waist and stomach. Zhang Xiaobao poured half a bowl of warm rice wine for Wang Wan. Drink this today. Go back and drink wine before going to bed at night. Chaos, it's good. If not, where can I find an opportunity? It's not easy to destroy a country without direct force. The situation in the sea is already tense enough. You still want to add fuel to the fire. Are you sure they don't dare to directly snatch our ship? Wang Wan took a sip of wine and stuffed a piece of lotus seed cake into her mouth. Her voice was muffled. The information sent from the seaside had already described the situation there in detail. Shinluo wanted to go to the island next to Xinyuan Island to plant garlic and mine. Japan also wanted to go there, but Tang did not express its opinion. As a result, the two countries had many conflicts on the island and at sea. In addition, pirates appeared from time to time, causing people on both sides to suspect that it was the other side's doing. They had already sent memorials to Li Longji to blame the other side, wanting Tang to help them deal with the other side. Li Longji's attitude was more ambiguous, and the result was the current situation. Zhang Xiaobao picked up a piece of cucumber and threw it into his mouth. The production of chili is not enough. If you sprinkle some chili powder into this cucumber, it will taste even better. Cucumbers have a lot of water, just enough to relieve the spiciness. As a result, the more you eat, the more spicy it becomes. The more spicy it is, the more you want to eat it. I really hope that they will attack our ships. That way, your 8 elite battalions will have a place to fight. If the transportation is convenient, it's best to go to Europe and see if England and France are still as awesome. Oh, I shouldn't call them that. England doesn't seem to be called England yet. France should be called France, right? Anyway, that's how it is. With 8,000 elite cavalry, we should be able to achieve good results. Don't talk nonsense if you don't understand war. What do you mean by good results? As long as the logistics can keep up, I can flatten them all. Do you think guns and cannons are decorations? It's a pity that it's too far away. I can't kill everyone. If I get sick a few more times, I'll die there. Let's take it slow. As long as I'm alive, I'll go there and take a look. Even if I can't fly there, I'll take a boat there and plant a few flags there. Regardless of what happens in the future, I'll make Tang an empire where the sun never sets. Wang Wan looked indifferent, as if she did not care about those countries. Yes, you're amazing. Then why didn't we occupy them back then? It's because of the influence of the international situation. Otherwise, with our national strength back then, which country in Europe would be able to defeat us in a one-on-one battle? If we didn't throw a nuclear bomb, we would be able to defeat the United States even if it was a one-on-one battle. All right, let's not talk about the past. What's your purpose in renting the steam engine and the gunships to them? Wang Wan boasted to Zhang Xiaobao for a while. After satisfying her mental craving, she returned to the topic. Chapter 9:11. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan chatted as if nothing had happened, but some people were filled with worry. Takeshita Junichiro's hired men had succeeded. They had succeeded a little too easily, making Takeshita Junichiro almost unable to believe it. When he hired them, he didn't have much hope. After all, they were Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. What he didn't expect was that important things would really be thrown out from the two of them. Under such a very coincidental situation, could it be that this was the will of the heavens? For a moment, Takeshita Junichiro couldn't figure out why Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had things thrown at them. He decided not to think about it and opened the letter to read it again. There weren't many words in the letter, and the things written weren't very specific. It was just a general framework, But it was this framework that made Takeshita Junichiro feel the pressure and the great Tang's attitude toward Japan. There were only 3 points written in the letter. The first point was that Silla wasn't strong at the moment and could be supported and cooperated with. Japan was too far away from the great Tang and needed to be vigilant. Therefore, the steam engine ships and gunships had to be rented to Silla at the same price so that Silla would have an advantage when clashing with Japan at sea. The second point was that they had to send people to a newly discovered iron mine overseas as soon as possible. That iron mine could be refined into better steel that could be used to make more advanced weapons. The third point was to use the tourism industry to open up the Silla market and establish a long-term tourism bureau in Silla to help the people of Silla obtain more livelihood goods. It would be more convenient for them to use Silla's geographical location to attack Japan in the future. There were only 3 points, and even fewer words were actually written, but the meaning was very clear. There were no more specific steps involved, but even so, it made Takeshita Junichiro's heart unable to calm down. So there's a place overseas that can produce better iron mines. So they want to use tourism to help Silla develop the market. So they've always disliked Japan and treated Japan as an enemy. Takeshita Junichiro summarized the series of events. A gust of wind blew, causing the closed window to creak. Takeshita Junichiro, who was worried about being discovered, was shocked. Seeing that the window was still closed, he heaved a sigh of relief. After a moment of hesitation, he tore off the paper in his hand bit by bit and slowly put it into his mouth, chewing and swallowing. When the last piece of paper was eaten, Takeshita Junichiro stuck out his tongue that was dyed black and licked around his lips. No, we can't let them succeed. The steam engine and the gunships are Japan's, and so are the mines overseas. We have to think of a way to make the great Tang change its mind. Sigh. After muttering to himself for a while, Takeshita Junichiro sighed and felt a little regretful. Back then, Zhang Xiaobao had happily agreed to rent the steam engine ship and the gunship to Japan while he and the others were drinking. He had considered too much and was afraid that he would be deceived. In the end, he had delayed until now. Could it be because of this that Zhang Xiaobao was preparing to support another country? Takeshita Junichiro took a deep breath, stood up, and opened the window again. The wind blowing in his face made him feel much more energetic. He looked up at the sun hanging in the sky, turned around, and walked out of the room, heading for the place where the telegram was sent. With a ticking sound, a letter from home was sent out by Takeshita Junichiro. The letter was not written smoothly, and there were some parts where the words did not convey the meaning. The person who sent the telegram did not ask any questions and typed it out word for word. When the last word stopped, Takeshita Junichiro, who was beside him, felt his heart settle down. At the same time, he could not help but sigh. The new invention of the telegram was indeed very convenient. Not only did it make it convenient for the great Tang's various officials to send messages in a timely manner, it also made it convenient for him. Although he understood that the telegram sent by someone like him would definitely be received by the other side. So what? Could it be that they could decipher his secret message? That would require a whole set of books. How could the great Tang know which book he used to translate the message when he contacted them? Decipher it? It would tire them to death. Takeshita Junichiro thought. Suddenly, an idea flashed through his mind. Decipher it? Perhaps the great Tang doesn't need to add another layer of code when transmitting information, right? If that's the case, wouldn't I be able to obtain more information on the great Tang if I get a telegram machine? Takeshita Junichiro's eyes lit up as though he had found a new path. However, he soon became depressed. Where could he get a telegram machine? Any place with a telegram machine would definitely be heavily guarded. I can't get one. No matter how much money I spend, I can't get one. The great Tang will not relax its control in this area. Telegram. To think that there is such a thing that can transmit information so quickly. The heavens are really blind. Then, can I get someone to steal a copy of the production method of the telegram machine? Takeshita Junichiro muttered to himself as he left the telegram machine. Suddenly, he thought of the organization that he had hired. Since they could steal information from Zhang Xiaobao, it shouldn't be difficult for them to steal a copy of the production method, right? With this idea in mind, Takeshita Junichiro quickened his pace. When he reached a fork in the road, he turned towards the south. After passing by 2 more forks, he changed his direction again. After changing his direction a few more times, he finally arrived in front of a shop. The shop's signboard indicated that this was a shop that sold the 4 treasures of the study. Takeshita Junichiro looked around. Seeing that no one was following him, he walked in casually. He didn't go to the seller to talk to him first. Instead, he started looking around. On the left side of the door, there was a row of shelves. There was an ink slab placed at intervals on the shelves. He walked step by step, looking at the ink slab one by one. When he saw the 12th ink slab, Takeshita Junichiro stopped and twisted the ink slab in front of him to change its direction. He then turned around and asked, "How much is this ink slab used to carve the mountain fox?" 60 copper coins. The person standing behind the counter glanced at the ink slab and said a number. Based on the carving skills and the quality of the ink slab, 60 copper coins wasn't expensive. In fact, it was shockingly cheap. If one really wanted to buy it, they would feel that they had gotten a bargain. However, Takeshita Junichiro didn't look happy at all. This was because the number wasn't right. The other party should have replied, "This isn't a mountain fox ink slab. It's a mountain fox ink slab. It's smarter than a mountain fox." Then, Takeshita Junichiro would have continued, "Can a mountain fox enter Chang'an?" The other party would have replied, "Omnipotent." Following that, Takeshita Junichiro took the ink slab and entered with the shop assistant to discuss some matters. But why was the price given now? Takeshita Junichiro was puzzled. Could it be that he had entered the wrong place? He opened his mouth and after a while he asked, "This place isn't this, sir. It's obvious that you come here often. Our shop has just changed hands and we want to do other business. That's why the price is so low. If you feel that it's still expensive, we can give you a lower price. Wait until we sell the rest of the goods and do other business," the shop assistant said with a smile. Boom. This sentence sounded like thunder in Takeshita Junichiro's ears. Unwilling to give up, he asked again, Then where's the original owner?" "I'm not sure." "Could it be that you want to find the original owner? Then you can only ask the current owner." The shop assistant shook his head and revealed a regretful expression. Takeshita Junichiro also shook his head. No, I'm just asking casually." After saying that, Takeshita Junichiro was no longer in the mood to stay in the shop. He turned around and left dejectedly. After his figure disappeared, the shop assistant behind the counter, Weiwei, smiled and muttered to himself, "The original owner is naturally dead. He clearly knew that you were Japanese. He clearly knew that you were going to steal the young master of the Zhang family. Yet, he still dared to accept the job. Humph." A traitor is more hateful than an enemy. During the dog days, even if the sky was covered by dark clouds, people would still sweat nonstop. Compared to the adults, the children did not sweat as much. Little Bei and the others did not sweat as much. They walked on the streets of Wanyan County and looked around. It was as though they were curious about every person or thing they saw. "It's so hot. What did Big Brother and Big Sister say?" Little Bei, who was standing under the shade of a tree by the roadside, kept wiping his sweat. He wiped his sweat as well. As he spoke, he looked at Little Yuan. Little Yuan was like a secretary. He had to remember everything that others said. He also had to memorize everything that Little Bei wanted to know. After all, he had a photographic memory. He was born to be a secretary. Little Yuan, who had already adapted to the role of a secretary, replied without thinking, "They said that we shivered even if it wasn't cold. We sweated even if it wasn't hot during the dog days." "That's right. I must have felt cold when I was in Luzhou. It must have been cold during the dog days. Otherwise, why would I be so afraid of the cold?" Little Bei said. There's no dog days in Luzhou. Even if there was, Big Brother and Big Sister wouldn't let us feel cold. That's heartless, little Yuan retorted. I'm just saying. Otherwise, it's too hot to just think about it. Look, my clothes are already soaked. Little Bei looked around and saw a small river not far ahead. An old man was sitting under a willow tree by the river, fishing. He walked over. Xiao Yuan shook his head a couple of times and also followed behind. The others, naturally, did not go too far. Soon after, Little Bei came to the old man's side. He looked at the old man and then at the fishing rod that was hanging in the water. He squatted there and rested his face on his hand. He did not say anything and just watched silently. Zhang Chong, Zhang Fang, and the others were also squatting under the tree. Their eyes were looking here and there, each of them thinking about their own matters. Xiao Yuan took out a small book from his bosom and began to research. Xiao Hai found a wooden stick and began to write formulas on the ground. Xiao Zhu took down the drawing board on her back and found a good position to begin sketching. Just like that, the 9 little fellows each had their own tasks and stayed in silence. It was very harmonious. They were now on vacation. Zhang Xiaobao felt that he had taught them too many things recently, and it was not easy for them to understand. It just so happened that the weather was hot, so he let them come out to play. It was not far from the capital. Naturally, he did not give them any homework. They were still young, and they still had to play. As for what they wanted to do, he did not care. After watching for a while, Xiao Bei took out a bottle of warm water from his bag and slowly took a sip. He waited for the old man to reel in another fish. When he changed the bait, he smiled and moved closer to the old man, asking, "Grandpa, are you going to sell the fish you catch?" The old man had noticed Little Bei and the others when they came. Looking at their clothes, he knew that they were not children from an ordinary family. Therefore, he did not say anything. At this time, when he heard the cute child next to him ask, he first turned his head to look elsewhere. Seeing that there was no one else nearby, he kindly smiled and said, "I'm not selling. If I can catch one, I'll catch one. If I can't, it's fine. If I can catch a lot, I'll go back and fry it. If I can't, I'll make soup." "Oh, how many people are there in Grandpa's family?" As Little Bei spoke, she took out a small notebook and a pencil from her bag. She crookedly wrote a few words that no one else could understand. Only she could understand them. "Including me, there are 9 people in total. There's my wife, 2 sons, 2 daughters-in-law, 2 grandsons, and 1 granddaughter. My granddaughter is 2 years older than you. She's 10 years older." The old man did not care why the little girl next to him was asking. He casually told her about his family. 10 years old doesn't mean that he's older than me by 2 years. I'm only 6 years old, so he's older than me by 3 years. I'm older, hee. Xiao Bei wrote a few more words in his notebook before asking, "Then does the old grandpa have enough money at home? Can he eat meat for every meal? How much oil do you use every time you cook?" This time, the old man was shocked. He was shocked by the little girl's question. He was also shocked by the little girl's adult-like appearance. He asked in return, "Why are you asking this?" "I'm doing research. It's the holidays, so I came out to stay for a month. When I go back, if someone asks, I want to talk about what I did. How good is the life of the commoners? How good is it? How many families can't eat meat?" Little Bei tried her best to imitate the way adults spoke. She spoke too fast and could not keep up with her train of thought. Naturally, she was a little lacking in vocabulary. The old man stared blankly for a moment. He could hear something different from the words of the little girl beside him. That was the word common people. Normally, when people spoke, they wouldn't say common people when talking about themselves. Unless this little girl often heard such words and learned them. In other words, she was born in an official's family. The old man could not help but turn his head to look in another direction. He did not believe that the child of an official's family would come out to play without an adult. It was not like they were commoners like him. A child could run around in the village. With this look, he really saw something different. On the road behind them, At a place that was neither far nor near, there was a peddler carrying a pole and selling goods. Around the peddler stood a few people who seemed to want to buy something. There were adults and children. The children were all in their teens. If there were only adults, it would not be a big deal. However, those children were not seen in the village before. It should have looked natural, but instead, it looked unnatural. The old man turned his head and looked at the little girl next to him. He asked, "Then the people behind you are protecting you?" Ah. No, the adults are not protecting us, and the little ones are not guards who have been trained for us since we were young. Little Bay first let out a cry of surprise. Then, she repeatedly waved her hands and explained very clearly. "Yes, I don't think so either." The old man nodded in agreement. Little Bay revealed a happy expression. Little Yuan, who was beside her, stopped flipping through the book and looked up at Little Bay. He sighed helplessly. This stupid future wife of his always thought that she was very smart. How worrying. The old man guessed the little girl's identity. The old man could roughly guess the identity of the little girl beside her, but he didn't expose her. He began to answer the previous question. "There's only one person in my family. The 3 kids are all studying in school. My eldest grandson is okay, but my second grandson is stupid. He can't learn and always ranks at the back of a line during the exam. The best one is the youngest girl. She has been the first 4 times in a row. Just the prizes she has won are not few. Look at this fishing rod of mine. It was exchanged with her points. If you want to eat meat for every meal, you have to see what kind of meat you eat. If you can't afford to eat beef or mutton, you can change it to pork or chicken. You will get sick of it if you eat it all the time. It's fine to have meat once a day. Save more money for my grandson's wife when he grows up. We don't lack oil either. Meat, oil, and vegetable oil are placed there. You can eat whatever you want. Clothes. Slow down. I can't remember. Little Yuan, come here." Little Bay's hand speed obviously could not keep up with the old man's speaking speed. She was so anxious that she broke out in a sweat. In the end, she simply gave up and waved at Little Yuan. Little Yuan also had her own matters to attend to. She pretended not to hear and continued reading. "Big Brother Yuan, I can't remember." Little Bay had no choice but to act coquettishly. She realized that recently, her authority seemed to have been challenged. The words she said were not very useful anymore. Perhaps it was because the older Little Yuan was no longer afraid of tripping wires. This was a problem. As expected, Little Yuan liked this. She closed the book, squatted beside Little Bay, and pretended to listen. Little Bay smiled contentedly. The old man also smiled benevolently. He could see that this boy and girl were not from the same family. They did not look alike, and the little girl did not address him as an elder brother. He did not need to think too much to know that this pair was arranged by the 2 families. He gave his blessing to the 2 children in his heart. Growing up together was much better than getting married without knowing what the other party looked like when they grew up. Following that, the old man continued. "The clothes at home are bought and made by ourselves. Although the clothes in the ready-made clothes shop are not expensive, it is still not as fitting as the clothes made at home. The family rears 12 pigs and more than 60 chickens. The eldest son works in the capital as a servant in the Ministry of Works and earns quite a lot. The second son is close to home and is a small official in the county. Nowadays, the treatment of officials is better, especially when they are close to the capital. During the holidays, they can get a lot of things, and the salary given is also more." "Is it more than Sanshui County?" Little Bay interrupted and asked. Little girl. Sanshui County is not comparable to other places. That place gives more things, and the salary is also not small. I heard that once you leave that position, you will be given a lot of money." The old man looked in the direction of Sanshui County, and his words were full of envy. Yes. Once you leave Sanshui County, you will receive a large sum of money, enough to spend for a lifetime. If you do better as an official, you may not be able to spend it for several lifetimes. Being an official in Sanshui County is not easy. Your attitude has to be dignified and your ability, that is called being upright. Little Yuan corrected at the side. All right, Little Yuan, please correct your attitude first. Old Grandpa, I also said that your ability is also very great. Old Grandpa, please continue. Little Bei blushed and glared at Little Yuan again. The old man finally laughed. Ha ha. All right, I will continue. The children at home have things to do, and the life at home is good. Although it is not as good as the rich, there is no need to worry about food, clothing, and accommodation. Even if there is a disaster, there is no need to worry. That is good. Little Yuan, write it down. The people are living very well. Old Grandpa, what about the land? Little Bei finally returned to normal and asked again. Land? Naturally, there is no space for farming. It is sold. It is sold to Boss Fong in the county. He bought a lot of land in the village and connected them together. During the farming season, he can help out and earn a lot of money, the old man said casually. Little Bei nodded. That is great. He can earn more money. When your grandson grows up, he will also earn a lot of money. Then, he can build a house and get married. There is no need for them to earn. When they are of age, the family will prepare it for them. The old man also thought of the future, and the smile on his face became wider. Why do the family have to prepare it for them? Isn't it better to let them earn it themselves? Isn't that right, Little Yuan? When we grow up, I will also earn more money, and you will also earn more money. With the two of us together, we will be like brother and sister, covering Chang, and for 10 consecutive days. Little Bei was very puzzled. He blinked and looked at Little Yuan. Didn't you say that you won't marry me? Little Yuan asked. All right. Then there is nothing for you to do. Little Bei then remembered that he had to use this to threaten Little Yuan. The old man listened to the two children's words and laughed. As he laughed, he suddenly realized something and stood up in shock. He sized up Little Bei and the others and no longer looked as calm as before. He asked with a trembling voice, You are the children of the Zhang family and Wang family in Sanshui County? Then the adults and children on the road are the vigorous seedling protection team? You are Zhang Xiaobei, and you are Wang Xiaoyuan? Old Grandpa. Do you know how to calculate? Little Bei was even more shocked than the old man. He opened his big cute eyes and looked to the old man, hoping to confirm his guess. Little Yuan covered his face with both hands, looking like he did not dare to look at anyone. Don't you know what you just said? I really can't marry you. You are too stupid. Don't you dare. When I go back, I will tell my brother and sister that you bullied me. Little Bei was unwilling. Listening to the words of the two, the old man took a few deep breaths, gritted his teeth, and sat down again. He had already confirmed the identity of the children next to him. No wonder they spoke differently from children of the same age. They were the children of the Zhang family and Wang family. How could ordinary people compare with them? Little Hai stopped working on his formula at this time. He stood up and rubbed his feet on the ground to erase the traces of calculation just now. He asked the old man, Old Grandpa, are you going to talk about the local officials? The old man was stunned at first, then understood. He waved his hand and said, No, although the local officials are not as good as those in Sanshui County, they are not bad. They are close to the capital. The officials dare not do anything wrong, let alone bully us. Oh, they bully the people. The old man did not feel that Little Hai's question was abrupt. The identity of the 9 children of the Zhang family and Wang family had long been spread among the people. Although they were young, their authority was not bad at all. It was said that in the whole Tang Empire, except for the current emperor, there was no official that they could not impeach. Regardless of right or wrong, even if they were innocent, they had to make some mistakes. Fortunately, the 9 children did not make any mistakes when they impeached people. Although they were 9 children, for the officials of the Tang Empire, they were like the king of hell. Wherever they went, it was not an exaggeration to say that they turned the world upside down. You really didn't? Xiao Bei asked again. No, even if there are some small mistakes, it doesn't matter. If this is really done, who knows what will happen next? The old man was scared now. He was really afraid that these children would make trouble for Wanyan County again. We are not impeaching. We are just here to play. We are really not impeaching. Old Grandpa, don't worry. Little Bay also knew the power of the 9 of them. Just like what his brother said, no matter where the 9 of them went, they would immediately be regarded as a bomb with great power. The old man let out a long breath and continued to talk to Little Bay about life, but he was no longer as casual as before. That night, Little Bay and the others sent a telegram to the capital. It was a very long telegram, and it was not as concise as other people's telegrams. The person who sent them the telegram even copied their spoken language. The 9 children thought that this was a very ordinary telegram, but they had no idea that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had been worrying for half a night. Little Bay and the others sent a telegram. Wang Wan said to Zhang Xiaobao after dinner, "I know. This is troublesome." Zhang Xiaobao nodded. "That's right. The annexation of land is getting more and more intense. This was originally a situation, but now it is different from history. Everything is covered up by the increasing prosperity of the common people. When the common people can obtain survival resources from other sources, the importance of land has weakened. This is not a good sign." Wang Wan was worried. She did not want the land of the great Tang to become like this, but she was powerless to stop it. Not even Zhang Xiaobao's status and administration could suppress it. Zhang Xiaobao's brow furrowed, then relaxed, furrowed again, and relaxed again. In the end, he calmed down. In truth, this is an inevitable trend. Under the rules of profit, concentrating resources will always be more in line with the progress of the times than spreading them out. What I'm worried about now is that once the annexation of land is completed and the land is concentrated in the hands of a few people, will the ratio of grain crops to cash crops become unreasonable? If oil becomes expensive, everyone will plant soybeans and rapeseed. Then who will plant rice and wheat? Once the same things are planted, the merchants will make more money, and the common people will find that the things they need are more expensive. Then, the currency of the Great Tang will depreciate. Grain will become expensive, and so will feed. As the cost increases, the price of meat will also increase. Troublesome, truly troublesome. Zhang Xiaobao did not look at the issue of land annexation alone. In fact, what he was afraid of was not the concentration of land and a portion of people controlling the price of grain in the Great Tang. What he was afraid of was the conflict during a planting process. If the things planted did not change, only the price would be controlled. It was very simple. He would increase the agricultural tax and use this money to subsidize the common people. He would increase the tax at the planting stage and the first stage of the selling stage, and subsidize the sale stage. This way, the price would be stable. He was worried that everyone would find something profitable at the same time and plan it together. This would lead to a problem of polarization. Some would lose money, while others would lose money. Wang Wan stood up, found a tea set, and began to brew kung fu tea. As she brewed, she asked, "Then do you have any ideas?" "It's not that I have any ideas, but whether this idea can be carried out well. I'm afraid that there will be policies from above and countermeasures from below." Zhang Xiaobao had many ideas. He knew that not only him, but also him and Wang Wan back then. Any person with some basic skills would be able to think of a solution, but who would carry it out was the most important. Wang Wan's hands were still as gentle as ever. She looked up at Zhang Xiaobao and said with a smile, "Xiaobao, don't forget that this is the era of the empire. Let's not talk about the disadvantages of the era of the empire first. Let's talk about the benefits. If the emperor wants his subject to die, the subject has no choice but to die. Whoever doesn't carry it out will die. Yes, the era of the empire. This is the first time I've found that the era of the empire is good. Then it's easy to do. One is to increase the speed of information transmission. This can be done through newspapers. Now that there are telegrams, news can be transmitted to various places at any time. The other is scientific planning. Let the local government of each place be in charge. They have to immediately transmit the local land planting situation to the capital. Then, a department in the capital will arrange what to plant in each place. That's enough. Zhang Xiaobao's eyes stared at Wang Wan's movements. That beautiful posture made Zhang Xiaobao feel that drinking tea was no longer important. Perhaps it was better to run to the bed and do something first. After busying for a while, Wang Wan finally steeped the tea leaves. The tea leaves were also washed. Then, Zhang Xiaobao said, "Coordination is fine. Unified arrangements are also fine. But is the evaluation of the officials linked to the economy or the degree to which they carry out orders? If it's linked to the degree to which they carry out orders, then many places can clearly increase their income by planting other crops. But they have to follow the rules of the capital and only plant food crops. Then, the income will decrease. If it's linked to the economy, what do you think the officials will do? There are so many problems. The relationship between politics and economy has to be considered. Human nature. I've never believed in communism. What was it called at that time? Oh, right, it was called distribution according to needs. I don't understand how it can be distributed according to needs. Living materials can be distributed according to needs. Can men and women be distributed according to needs? Can love also be distributed according to needs? Can anyone casually like a member of the opposite sex? There's no need to choose. When a male sees a female, there's no difference in the spiritual realm. Then, in the entire world, only one person's thoughts are enough. The others don't need to have personalities and thoughts. If there are interests, there will be disputes. So, I can't solve this problem. If I have to say a solution, it's that long separation leads to union. Who said this sentence? It's really too classic. Zhang Xiaobao conducted a psychological analysis of himself, but in the end, he couldn't do anything. Wang Wan poured the tea, smiled sweetly at Zhang Xiaobao, and said, "You're talking about a novel author, the one who wrote the romance of the Three Kingdoms. Do you feel very moved that an author has such a deep philosophical realm?" Yes, it's true. There's also a sentence called, "Knowing the affairs of the world is knowledge. Practicing human nature is writing." This is also not bad. Zhang Xiaobao nodded in agreement. That's practicing human nature is writing. I still think practicing human nature is better. Ping Sui can match. You mean you won't continue to care about it? You want to go with the flow? Wang Wan pushed the tea bowl in front of Zhang Xiaobao and asked, "Who said that? At least I can influence it. In fact, everything has to be done according to the law of development. Even if what we estimate happens, how can we know that it will be wrong in the long run? Maybe the development will be even more powerful." Zhang Xiaobao held the tea bowl with both hands, but he didn't drink. His eyes were looking in a direction, and he said in a daze. Wang Wan blew, took a small sip, and asked, "Then what do you have in mind?" It's very simple. Improve productivity, which is production technology. If 1 mu of land can produce 1 million caddies of grain a year, then it's not a problem to plant anything else. If 1 mu of land can produce 10 million caddies of cotton, do you think there will be a problem of not being able to sell it? The rest of the land will naturally become a garden. Right now we can't reach the level I said, but I can expand. The place we are in is called the Eurasian continent. Do you know how big it is? Let's occupy it all. And when the time comes, we can plant as much as we can. I don't believe there will be a lack of food crops. Zhang Xiaobao thought about it, and in the end, he thought of occupying the other places. Wang Wan felt that the temperature of the tea bowl was about right, so she drank it in one gulp and said, "I understand. What you need to do now is to keep expanding. After all, the population of the Tang Empire is not as big as ours. If we really expand, there will be a situation where there is land, but not enough people. What about in the future?" In the future? Do I have to care for 10,000 years? As long as I'm alive, I will care about this. In the future, if people can live on the sun, then I won't have to worry about it. While there are no more problems on the other places on Earth, we will occupy them. This will save us the trouble of using them as raw material bases. We can directly own them without political or military means. Then we will wait for the whole world to be unified, then split into smaller countries. We will continue to fight and unite again. If you throw an atomic bomb at me, I will throw a hydrogen bomb at you. In the end, the world will be gone, and new life will begin. Zhang Xiaobao also drank the tea in one gulp and pushed the tea bowl back to Wang Wan. Wang Wan poured another 2 bowls. Xiaobao, are you telling me a science fiction story? I am asking, what should we do now? Should we stop the annexation of the land or find another way out? Oh, okay, I will say. What we need to do now is to transfer the possible losses to other countries, starting with Japan. Zhang Xiaobao said seriously. Starting with Japan, it really started with Japan. After Takeshita Junichiro sent out the telegram, it did not take long for him to get a good night's sleep. At noon the next day, he received a telegram from the coastal area, from the Four Seas Academy's Department of Japanese International Students. Now, Japan no longer dared to not make decisions, and the power continued to be in the hands of a certain person. Takeshita Junichiro had more power in his hands, but he definitely could not easily decide the strategy of entire Japan. This was because the people in Japan had already discovered that no one could win when facing Zhang Xiaobao. The content of the telegram was very simple. After it was translated with a code, it supported Takeshita Junichiro's judgment and plan to find a way to rent steam engine ships and gunboats, forming a military advantage over the people of Silla at sea. At the same time, they could also avoid the pirates that appeared out of nowhere. Takeshita Junichiro was very happy when he saw it, but he was also a little depressed because his second proposal was not approved. His second proposal was to create a few tourist attractions in Japan and then send ships to pick up people from Great Tang who were willing to go there. The first few trips would be free, and the travel fees would be waived. After arriving in Japan, all other expenses would also be waived. When they left, they would even receive a precious gift. After a few batches of people went there, they believed that with their publicity, more people would be willing to travel to Japan in the future. At that time, they would start to charge a small fee and gradually increase it. Not only would it strengthen the relationship with Great Tang, but it would also increase the income of Japan. In the end, this proposal was rejected. The reason for the rejection was that Great Tang already had many good tourist attractions. The people of Great Tang had not even finished touring the Great Tang's territory. So how could they go to Japan? What if there was danger? This bunch of short-sighted people, what do they know? Can't they go to Japan if they don't finish touring the Great Tang's territory? The people from Jiangnan Province and Shanandong Province would take much less time to reach Japan than the people from Ryangji Province. Let's see what you all say when a large number of tourist groups start to appear in Silla. Takeshita Junichiro hurried to his place with the letter in his hand. After closing the door and windows, he cursed angrily. Before Takeshita Junichiro could think of a way to convince the people from the Four Seas Academy to support his plan, knocking sounds came from the door. 3 long knocks, 2 short knocks, and 1 long knocks. It was very rhythmic. Takeshita Junichiro was happy at first. Then, he straightened his clothes and changed his expression. He came to the door and asked, "Who is it?" "It's me." A familiar voice came from outside. Takeshita Junichiro felt relieved. He opened the door and saw Yamamoto and Yamamoto standing outside. He poked his head out and looked around. Seeing that no one was paying attention, he let the 2 in. Takeshita Junichiro had to be careful. Even if the secret signal was correct, he had to maintain sufficient vigilance. Otherwise, if he said something wrong, it would be easy for the whole of Japan to suffer. Yamamoto could understand. After sitting down, he lowered his voice and said to Takeshita Junichiro, "Takeshita-kun, Yamamoto and I both know of your plan." "Very good. It's the people from the Four Seas Academy who are scared. They don't dare to agree to 2 plans at the same time, afraid that they will fail at the same time. Yamamoto and I support you." Takeshita Junichiro quickly stood up and bowed. He said excitedly, Then is there a way to realize the second plan? The people in the Tang Empire are very rich now, and the foundation of the Tang Empire is very advanced. What if there are technicians among the tourists who feel that our place is better and decide to stay? Yamamoto and Yamamoto had come today for another matter. Their support for Takeshita Junichiro was just lip service. However, after hearing Takeshita Junichiro's words, they realized that it was really a good idea. The two of them looked at each other and nodded. Yamamoto said, "Takeshita-kun, it's as you said. Yamamoto and I will think of a way to convince our people in the Four Seas Academy. There's actually a very important matter today." Takeshita Junichiro did not interrupt. He made a gesture of listening. Chapter 9:12. There were still 10 days before the autumn imperial examination, and the number of people in the capital increased. Most of the people who did not pass the spring imperial examination did not return. They continued to stay in the capital, looking for connections and interacting with their peers. The imperial examination was not only about one's writing during the examination, but also one's reputation and the recommendations of others. Almost all the students who were going to take the examination, regardless of their own standards, had to find a place to show off their talents. They went to the restaurant to drink wine, went to the brothels to write poems for girls, and tried their best to promote themselves. There was a trick to this, and that was to gather people together. They did not care about the quality of others' writing, nor did they care about whether the opinions of others were reasonable or not. As long as there was a chance, they would praise others. Today, you flatter others, and tomorrow, others might follow suit and flatter you as well, as if they were on good terms with you. Thus, there were many poems in the capital that were unanimously praised by others. However, there were very few girls who sang them. Some girls were better than the students and did not bother to sing them. This atmosphere had been around for a long time. In the past, the people did not have much knowledge, so when they heard others praise them, they would follow. However, it was a little different now. Those who had children at home were in schools. Most people did not know what the schools in distant places were like. Perhaps they taught the laws of the great Tang and poetry. However, the schools around the capital rarely taught children to write poems. The schools in this area learned from the schools of Sanshui County and Bushing County. When the children entered the school, they first learned nursery rhymes. They did not need to recognize words, as long as they could memorize them. Usually, the rules of the school were written into the nursery rhymes, so that the children would have some discipline. Then, they learned pinyin, which was different from the pinyin that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan learned back then. This was because the pronunciation of the words now was different from the pronunciation of the words back then. The children could not be as proficient in many languages as the two of them, so the best way was to learn area's pronunciation. How to pronounce area in area. The child would spell the sound accordingly. There were still 26 letters, and there was no sound that could not be spelled when combined. In this way, the teachers who used to say air you would not object. After all, it was the Mandarin of the Tang Empire. At the same time, the learning speed was also faster. They did not need to use the pronunciation of other words when reading a word. The children spent most of their time in the early stages of school learning how to read. The efficiency was dozens of times higher than before. After learning a large number of words, the next thing they learned was to read essays. This essay was not written by a master. It was written by the children of Sanshui County's Zhangwang and Zhuangzi School. It was very simple. After 2 years, he began to read normal books, such as the Book of Songs, selected literary works, and so on. He didn't have to understand the meaning, as long as he could memorize it smoothly. Then there would be a teacher who would translate it and explain it from simple to deep. In this way, after 5 or 6 years of school, the children's appreciation level would also improve. As for grades, it was not so important. The teacher would look at each child's different personality and which aspect of their learning was best to focus on nurturing. This was the real quality education that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan needed. As for foreign languages, there was no need for the children to learn them. That was a branch that they wanted to continue learning after they graduated from primary school. There was no need to ask all the children to be proficient in a foreign language. According to Li Longji's words after being fooled by Zhang Xiaobao, it was, in the future, wherever the sun rises, the people there must know how to speak the language of Tang. Why should the children of Tang waste time? People who learned foreign languages were also specialized in studying the history of other countries in the future. With so many children with a high level of appreciation, those students who wrote crooked poems were out of luck. It was common to hear the poems of students coming out from restaurants, tea houses, and small shops. It was also common to encounter children who pointed out how messy the poems were in front of their faces in such places. When Wang Wan, who was waiting for the fall quarter examination, found out about this situation, she smiled and said to Zhang Xiaobao, "Do you think you should take out modern poems and let the children who have just finished primary school learn them?" Modern poems? What's wrong with that? Zhang Xiaobao was also working hard. Seeing that the exam was coming, he had to revise. Although the position of the top scorer had been confirmed, he couldn't do badly. Since it involved a lot of literature, he naturally had to have a good result. Otherwise, it would be too embarrassing. When his father was the top scorer in the exam, he found someone and used a lot of conditions in exchange. However, his father's paper was not bad at all. Even if it was just based on knowledge, no one would refute it. Zhang Xiaobao was now looking at the papers of the top scorers in the entrance exam. He found a pattern in them and waited for the top scorers to become the top scorers. Wang Wan was also learning. She also wanted to see how she was. She wouldn't easily give the top scorers to Zhang Xiaobao. Although it was almost confirmed that Zhang Xiaobao was the top scorer in literature and she was the top scorer in martial arts, she still wanted to create some trouble for Zhang Xiaobao and make Zhang Xiaobao feel pressured. Therefore, she was also reading. Looking at Zhang Xiaobao's blank expression, she said, "You don't even know modern poems. You want to be the top scorer in the exam? Wait for me to get the top scorers in both literature and martial arts. Can't you be the top scorer in the exam if you don't know modern poems? Is there such a thing in Tang now? Is there modern poems? What is modern poetry? Tell me." Zhang Xiaobao's eyes didn't leave the papers and directly replied to Wang Wan. Modern poems are poems written strictly according to the rules of poetry. It requires that there can't be any mistakes in the couplet and tautology. If tautology and tautology are tautology and tautology, you can't write tautology and tautology. For example, the first line of the 7 lines must be tautology and tautology, tautology and tautology. And that's not all. If there's no special situation you have to follow. Zhang Xiaobao, are you listening to me? When Wang Wan was explaining to Zhang Xiaobao's head was looking at the papers bit by bit. His concentrated look made Wang Wan suspicious. Zhang Xiaobao was still nodding. Zhang Xiaobao. Huh? You say, "I'm listening." Zhang Xiaobao heard Wang Wan's voice become louder. He blankly raised his head and looked at Wang Wan. Wang Wan gritted her teeth. Zhang Xiaobao, I remember telling you before, right? Today you say you don't know. Are you playing dumb with me? Put away your narrow-mindedness. So what if I'm wasting time? Don't tell me you think you can learn a lot in this short period of time? Wang Wan finally understood. Zhang Xiaobao was looking at the papers with all his might. Then he would not be able to look at the papers. Seeing Zhang Xiaobao playing such a trick, Wang Wan did not know whether to laugh or cry. Zhang Xiaobao, who had been seen through, put down the papers embarrassedly. He smiled at Wang Wan and said, "Modern-style poetry is just like that. It's used to raise the status of students. According to what you said, many of Li Bai's poems are not qualified. There are also by Juyi's and Du Fu's. How many of these poets of the Tang Dynasty wrote poems that are all in modern style? Look at Li Bai's and able to lower his brows and bow to the powerful. What kind of poem do you think that is? Was it a 7-word one or a 5-word one? I feel that many of Li Bai's poems are actually not poems or words. Oh, if there is a conclusion, I think they are words because someone composed music for them, right? But what we have now is still better than what we had back then. Back then, people would think that they could compose poems just by coming up with a few lines of words. Especially so for many writers, they had the nerve to show off their nonsensical works. Wang Wan saw that Zhang Xiaobao mentioned Li Bai, so she could not use modern-style poetry to criticize Zhang Xiaobao. She had to extend the topic. Zhang Xiaobao nodded and said, "Yes, that's right." Especially many officials, they did not do their jobs well and wrote rubbish to publish, and don't talk about the officials. Wang Wan saw that Zhang Xiaobao was going to point at the officials again. She quickly stopped him and said, "You just said Li Bai. What do you think Li Bai is doing now? I haven't seen him for a while. And Wang Wei, I miss him." Li Bai? Isn't he in charge of the Ministry of Revenue? Just let him be. It's a much better position than the one he held in history, and he has real power. He should be grateful to me. Zhang Xiaobao still had some recollection of it. After saying this, he picked up the paper and continued reading. I don't know if he can write so many poems. It's hard to choose. Wang Wan shook her head. She did not understand this problem and also started to read. Li Bai was not in the capital at this time. He did not plan to take the imperial examination. If he really wanted to take the imperial examination, he would not be able to pass at all. Now, he was sitting on the train. Accompanied by the rumbling sound and the shaking of the carriage, he was heading to another place. Sitting opposite him was the other person that Wang Wan mentioned, Wang Wei. The two of them received a task to patrol the river situation in several places. Recently, some places in Tang had been raining heavily, and there was no sign of it stopping. In order to urge the local authorities to do their best, and at the same time to express the importance that the emperor attached to the water conservancy project, the capital sent several teams to take a look at places not far away. The rivers in the capital were more concentrated. The two of them were now going to Hongnong, a tributary of the Honglu River. Recently, there was a rumor in the capital that the officials there had embezzled the money for the water conservancy project. It was easy to get into trouble. Li Longji did not have the time to care about it, and he was afraid that other people would not be able to suppress the situation. Therefore, he sent Li Bai and Wang Wei. Li Bai was in charge of the Ministry of Revenue, and he was in charge of the land and taxes. Wang Wei was in charge of the Water Conservancy Project, and they were in charge of the Water Conservancy Project. However, they did not bring anyone with them. When they arrived at the place, they had to borrow people from the local government. This made the two of them slightly worried that the task would not be easy to complete. Is there anyone who wants wine? It's 5 copper coins per serving, and there are also 4 side dishes. While Li Bai and Wang Wei were sitting opposite each other and thinking about this, the person who was pushing the cart on the train came over. This train did not have a dining car, and it was too wasteful. More importantly, the train had a lot of wooden structures, so they were worried that they would catch fire. Therefore, they could only get people to push the cart to sell them. The price was not expensive, and it was the same as the ordinary snack bars in the capital and Luoyang. It was Zhang Xiaobao's suggestion. As he had taken the train at that time, the items sold on the train were very expensive. In the end, not many people bought them. Many people who were prepared to take the train bought them before boarding. Therefore, Zhang Xiaobao decided to take a measure to make things convenient for the passengers. The price of the items sold on the train was not high, and it was fair. Although it was called fair, it was actually equal to the price of the capital and Luoyang. It was not really fair, but it was not bad. However, Wang Wan did not think so. She felt that before Zhang Xiaobao went abroad to develop his career, he must have been on the train and did not have enough money to buy boxed meals. He had the experience of going hungry and could only drink free hot water to fill his stomach. Zhang Xiaobao denied this. The truth behind the train selling goods at a flat price was buried, but the goods were not bad. Wang Wei smacked his lips and took out 5 coins from a hidden pocket in his sleeve. He stacked the coins together and did not place them one by one in front of him. He said to the seller, Give me a serving. Do you have chess pieces? I'll buy one too. All right, here's the wine you wanted. The seller put a wooden wine jar between the two of them and filled it up with another pot. He then took out 2 small wooden wine cups and 4 small dishes. He said, "The wine jar and wine cups are borrowed. You are not allowed to take them away. We also have chess. What kind of chess do you want?" It was the first time for Wang Wei to take a train, so he was very surprised. He looked at the seller and the wine and dishes in front of him and asked, "What if I secretly take them away? For example, what will you do with these small dishes?" The seller was stunned. He lowered his head and did not know what to say. He hesitated and did not say anything. "Just say it. We are officials of the imperial court." Li Bai also wanted to know the consequences of such a thing. Could someone check his belongings when he went out? Or send someone to watch him? When he got on the train, he and Wang Wei did not show any evidence. Therefore, no one could find them. The seller carefully looked at the two of them. For a moment, he couldn't tell whether the two of them were officials or not, but he knew that the two of them were definitely not ordinary people. The material of their clothes was better, and they looked almost the same. After thinking for a while, he finally said, "In fact, what I said just now was to remind you to take the things away. It is not that I don't want you to take them. If you don't take them, it will be difficult for me." Huh? Li Bai and Wang Wei made a puzzled sound at the same time and looked at the seller in confusion. There was no need for the two of them to continue asking. The seller continued, "You can take a look at the wine jar and the dish. You will understand after looking at them." Li Bai pinched the edge of a dish and picked it up to look at it. Wang Wei also picked up the wine jar and looked at it. They found that there were pictures and words engraved on it. There was a picture of a train and the words "Safe Journey." They looked at each other, but still did not understand what it meant. The seller waited for the two of them to finish looking at it and said, "In fact, this is a method that someone came up with. It can make the passengers on the train spend more money." "How can we spend money? Isn't it a profit if we take it away?" Li Bai asked. "Now it is a profit because there are words and pictures on it. When you take it off the train, you can show it to others and let others know that you have been on the train. Since you have been on the train, those who have never been on the train will naturally be curious and think that you are a decent person. They will ask you how it feels to take a train. Will you tell them then?" The seller explained and asked in return. Wang Wei thought carefully and looked at Li Bai. Li Bai nodded. The two of them understood that this was an opportunity to show off. The train was only between Chang and Luoyang. If they took it out first, others might not know about it, but they had been on it. If someone asked about it, of course they had to tell them about it. For example, when they arrived at Hong Nong's place and an official asked them about it, they felt that it was really good. Wang Wei put down the wine jar and said, "Even so, what does it have to do with making money? I reckon that you are just keeping your capital and won't make any profit at all. Am I right?" "Sir, you're absolutely right." The seller addressed the two of them according to their identities as officials. "Now, the wine and dishes we sell on the train are indeed kept as the capital, but that is only for a month. After the train has been running for a month, if you want to buy it when you are on the train, you will have to leave a deposit. A set costs 5 copper coins. Otherwise, you will have to change to another kind of paper without words and pictures. If two people take the same train, one of them leaves a deposit and takes the thing away, while the other is reluctant and doesn't take it away. Both of them are from the same village. When they go back and brag that they have been on the train, others will naturally believe them. There is no coercion. If you want to take it, take it. If you don't want to take it, forget it. If you don't want to spend the money, you will not take more money. Don't you think so?" The seller continued to introduce the business idea. Wang Wei and Li Bai nodded. Indeed, the two of them admitted that this method was really too good. When bragging, one should at least take out something decent. "I wonder who came up with this idea?" Li Bai asked curiously. Wang Wei thought for a while and asked, "Could it be the idea of Zhang Jidushi? I guess only they would do this kind of thing." Wang Wei, who had a good understanding of Zhang Xiaobao, didn't believe that such a method was something that an ordinary person could come up with. It was too bizarre. This was a special method of trading, and according to Zhang Xiaobao, it was called a marketing strategy. The seller nodded at first, then shook his head and said, "It's not young Master Zhang's idea. Young Master Zhang is so busy, he doesn't have time to care about this. Besides, this new idea was just started today. Someone suggested it yesterday. In fact, this method was thought of by Xiao Bei of the Zhang family. Yesterday, they took the train for a while. Today they went back. It seems that they are just sitting for fun. Yesterday, when they were on the train, they told the person on our train. So we immediately asked someone to make a batch." "Little Miss Xiao Bei? Who?" "Oh, Xiao Bei, Zhang Xiao Bei?" Wang Wei was stunned for a moment and guessed who it was. At first, he thought it was an adult, so he didn't expect it to be a child. After reading the name, he finally knew who it was and couldn't help but tremble. Li Bai's expression also changed slightly. Both he and Wang Wei knew Xiao Bei's lethality. That child would rush to Hanyuan Palace Hall whenever the emperor and the ministers had important matters to discuss in the morning court. She would rush there twice, and 2 officials would be in trouble. She was clearly an official killer. No one dared to impeach her. "She is really amazing," Wang Wei said again. "What about chess? Is it free now?" Li Bai looked at the cart. "No, it is rented. There are Go, Chinese chess, and Gamoku. Even if you want to play Monopoly, there are also simple ones." The seller replied, "Give me a set of Chinese chess. 1 copper coin, 3 copper coins as deposit. Here is a printed chess record. Do you want it? 20 copper coins, 1 copy." The seller took out the Chinese chess, which was wooden and not worth 3 copper coins at all. He didn't forget to promote the chess record. "1 more serving of wine and dishes, please. I want a different dish." Wang Wei saw that there were more than 4 kinds of dishes in the cart, so he ordered another serving and took out the money to give to the seller. After the seller left, Wang Wei poured wine for Li Bai and said, "Brother Tai Bai, don't you think that the Zhang family and the Wang family are too amazing? How old is Xiao Bei? She can think of such an amazing idea." "Ah, I admire them, I really admire them." Li Bai picked up the wine cup and nodded. "It is extraordinary. After we finish eating, don't forget to take the food. If someone asks about it when we get there, we can leave it as a souvenir. Speaking of which, the train is really better than the carriage. It is faster, not just a little bit faster. If we take the carriage, it will take us 3 days to get there, and that is under the condition that the road is easy to walk on." Wang Wei felt the comfort of the train. He drank a cup of wine and took a bite of the food. He tasted it carefully and said, "I heard that His Majesty is going to build railways in all places of the Tang Empire. It will be difficult for him to send people away. Is it possible that he won't allow them to take the train? It may be a pleasure to wait all the way to Lingnan. It is very difficult to die on the way. Unfortunately, if we go to Hongnong, we won't be able to watch this year's autumn imperial examination. This year, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan will take part in it. I can only come back and hear about it or ask someone to send a telegram. After all, it is better to see it with your own eyes." Li Bai felt uncomfortable when he thought of the imperial examination. He didn't take part in it, but Wang Wei did. He was even a Jinsher. He always felt that there was a difference between their identities. When he thought of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan taking part in it, he said, "Their positions have been decided. So what if I don't watch it? If I watch it, they won't be the top scorer. One will be the scholar, and the other will be the martial scholar." You can't say that. It is not wrong to say that it has been decided. But if it hasn't been decided, will they not be the top scorer if they take part in it? The purpose of the imperial examination is to select talents to govern the country. Who dares to say that they are better than them in this aspect? Wang Wei used a different way of thinking. He picked up the wine jar and poured wine for Li Bai again. Looking at the trees outside the window, he didn't say anything for a while. Li Bai also drank wine silently. He drank half a jar. Because it was white wine, although Li Bai always said that he drank a lot, he was also muddle-headed when he drank white wine. Therefore, both of them were slightly drunk. After drinking wine, Li Bai felt comfortable and relaxed. He asked Wang Wei, "Brother Magia, why do I always feel that something is wrong with Hong Nong? Is it because you are too happy to take the train?" Wang Wei waved his hand and said, "I also feel that something is wrong. There must be something wrong there. Otherwise, the two of us wouldn't be sent there at the same time. Maybe there will be a group of people there to be dealt with. Nowadays, the officials want to take risks when they have a chance. They don't care about the lives of the people." Wang Wei's feeling was similar to Li Bai's. At the same time, he was very dissatisfied with some of the officials there. Of course, he had not seen the officials at the time of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. If he had seen them, he would find that the officials of the Tang Empire were not bad. They could even be called excellent. At least they had a respectful heart. This was also the reason why Zhang Xiaobao tried his best to give others chances when he was in Sanshui County. The officials he met before were still afraid. They knew that they were wrong and took risks when they did things. They were not like the officials at the time of Wang Wan and him. They didn't even care about their face. They knew that they would harm the people, but they still did it calmly. Li Bai saw that Wang Wei was also worried. He put the food on his plate and didn't eat it. He frowned and asked, "Brother Magia, if that kind of thing really happens, what should we do? We don't have anyone around us who can help us. The imperial court sent us here, but they don't give us any help. Aren't they afraid that something will happen to us? Let's take one step at a time. When the time comes, we will go to Hong Nong to find help. I hope everything will go well. I think it's better for us to come here in vain. If something really happens, it may be over there. Under the natural disaster, it's difficult to handle it. I don't know how many people will suffer. Zhang Xiaobao is not willing to organize the relief in person now. It's going to be difficult." Wang Wei also stopped eating. He was like Li Bai. As scholars, he hated evil as if it was an enemy. The two of them were silent for a while. Only the rumbling sound of the train was in their ears, but it made them feel that the sound was so far away. It was so unreal. Everything was like a dream. Taking such a fast train, they were going to a place where there might be a vast ocean. The progress of technology and the hardship of the people formed a strong contrast. Thinking about it, the speed of the train gradually slowed down. Then it stopped at the platform. Some people got off, and some people got on. After a while, it rumbled again and gradually accelerated away. Li Bai came back to his senses. Looking at the trees that began to move backward again, he said, "Is it true that human beings can't go against the heavens? What about when Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family went to Luzhou? What about when they broke the dam of the Yangtze River in Suzhou? If the heavens want to punish the people of Luzhou, they can say that they have been going against the heavens. Didn't they come here? You still want to compete with them? Didn't you see the children in their family? How old were Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan at that time? They were already able to help distribute supplies. Look at Xiao Bei and the others now. They are all like smart people. They can't be compared with them at all. If you really want to compete, go to Xinluo. I'll give you a few thousand soldiers. Let's see if you can scare them. I guess when Xinluo hears that you are leading the army, their general will be very happy." Wang Wei did not give Li Bai any face at all. His words made Li Bai's face turn red. The two of them continued to eat. When they finished all the wine, they bought another jar and refilled the wine cups. Li Bai suddenly asked, "If the two of us don't go there, but send Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to Hong Nong, and no one follows them, will they be able to do it? What do you think? Is there a need to send the two of them? Just send Xiao Bei and the others there. Even if Hong Nong is fine, the local officials will be scared out of their wits. I'm asking you to send them there before they become famous." Li Bai set up a problem. Isn't it the same? Back then, they were not famous in Sword University. They learned extraordinary skills from the experts at home. It makes sense. If they go to Hong Nong, what will they do? Come on, think about it. Maybe there's a way. As Wang Wei spoke, he suddenly had a new idea. He no longer put himself in the situation to think about the problem. Li Bai's eyes also lit up. He thought about it while eating. After a while, he said, I guess they will use money to bribe people. When they have no money, they will find a way to make money first. Brother Maujia, do you know how to make money? I don't have much money with me. Wang Wei looked at Li Bai and nodded. Indeed, they may really do that. When we get there, we can send a telegram to Beijing to ask. I just don't understand why they don't send people to us. Asterisk, 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 asterisk Wang Wei, and Li Bai did not understand on the train, but Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan figured it out. The two of them chatted while learning. When they mentioned Li Bai, they asked someone to send a telegram to ask. They learned that Li Bai was going to Hongnong with Wang Wei and did not bring anyone with him. Then they had a new topic. The two of them are together. It's very interesting. I don't know how many poems they can write along the way. I hope the bumpy train will not have too much impact on them. Zhang Xiaobao held a pen in his hand and said while practicing calligraphy. What bumpy? Bumpy is relative. I don't think they will feel bumpy. Compared to riding a carriage, riding a train is much more comfortable, unless they have also been to our place and experienced the bumpy train. Wang Wan stopped reading now. She took out the military map and checked the situation of various places on it. Although she said that she wanted to compete with Zhang Xiaobao for the top scorer, Wang Wan knew that even if Zhang Xiaobao did not have his current status, she would not be able to get the top scorer if she took the exam with him. The current national situation was how to develop productivity and improve production technology. In this aspect, Zhang Xiaobao was better than her. Therefore, it was better to get the top scorer in martial arts. At that time, the two of them would be the top scorer in both civil and martial arts, and their statuses would be different. It would be more convenient for them to do things in the future. Therefore, she opened the military map. The so-called top scorer in martial arts was not based on who could fight. Fighting ability was one aspect. Now that there were guns, there was no need to look at how many people a general could defeat. Instead, it was based on accuracy. More importantly, the general's ability to command. If they were to compete, they would have to win beautifully. After looking at the map for a while, Wang Wan picked up a pen and wrote a few notes in the book beside her. Then she said, what I am puzzled about is that since the imperial court sent the two of them, why didn't they send people? If the local officials are working together to do bad things, how are they going to investigate without manpower? To think that you are an official, how are they going to investigate without manpower? Of course, they will use money to bribe them. Li Longji definitely wants to see their abilities. Zhang Xiaobao held his breath and finished writing a word. He continued to write the next word. Wang Wan glared at Zhang Xiaobao in dissatisfaction. What I want to know is Li Longji's goal. If I want to see their abilities, I won't look at them like this. If this is really the case, this is the worst aspect. Then tell me what's going on. I think Li Longji wants to see the attitude of the local officials towards the people sent by the higher-ups. If they don't get any useful information after arriving at Hongnong, what do you think Li Longji will think? As long as the two of them send a telegram to Li Longji about what happened in Hongnong, Li Longji will understand that the local officials don't care about the imperial court. Or maybe the local officials really did something bad and are afraid of being investigated. If you don't believe me, just watch. If Li Bai and the two of them really don't get anything and the local defense is watertight, then the officials in Hongnong will be finished. No one likes things that can't be controlled. Wang Wan analyzed Zhang Xiaobao. Since Zhang Xiaobao said that she was an official, she had to consider the thoughts of an official. Zhang Xiaobao didn't say anything directly and continued to write. When he finished writing and reached for another piece of paper, Zhang Xiaobao suddenly put down his pen and turned to look at Wang Wan. I understand. That damned Li Longji. He's planning to do something to us. What plans do we have for him to make? Don't tell me he's not going to let us take the imperial examinations? That's good. Let's go back to the northeast. It'll be so comfortable there. We can even build snowmen in the winter. Wang Wan didn't guess the reason this time, and she didn't know where Zhang Xiaobao came to this conclusion. Zhang Xiaobao wasn't in the mood to write anymore. He called someone in and asked them to send a telegram to Xiao Bei and the others to ask about their situation. Then he said to Wang Wan, "Of course we won't leave, but Xiao Bei and the others are going back and forth. They're in Wanyan County, not far from Hongnong. Didn't Xiao Bei and the others say that they took the train for fun yesterday? They helped the train come up with a good way to make money without forcing others to spend money. Since they can take the train for fun, it's not a big deal to go to Hongnong while they're at it. Li Longji wants to see if the officials in Hongnong cooperate. At the same time, he wants to test Li Bai and Wang Wei. I think it won't be long before Li Longji sends us a telegram and tells us that he wants Xiao Bei and the others to go to Hongnong to take a look." Really? If Xiao Bei and the others receive Li Longji's telegram, they'll definitely go over happily. Does Li Longji want to scheme against Xiao Bei? It's so infuriating. Wang Wan said angrily, then suddenly laughed. Chapter 9:13. Hearing the person's words, Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan, meaning to say, "See, I'm right? Li Longji was planning to do this. He wanted to see the local officials in Hongnong and see if Li Bai and Wang Wei were serious." What else could Wang Wan say? She replied with a "You're amazing" expression. She nodded at the person and let him leave. Just as the person left, another person came in and said to the two, "Young master, young lady, there's news from the palace. His Majesty said that he sent young lady Xiao Bei to Hongnong to keep an eye on Li Bai and Wang Wei. He asked the two of you not to worry." "Got it," Zhang Xiaobao said. After the person left, Zhang Xiaobao said, "This Li Longji can't deal with us." So he set his sights on Xiao Bei and Wang Wei. Is this his only ambition? Why does he have to set the age of his opponents below 10 years old? He even told us not to worry. Of course, I'm not worried. Xiao Bei and Wang Wei have hundreds of guards, so what's there to worry about? Xiao Bei has been betrayed, and he even helped others count the money. Seriously, this won't do. I have to get back at Li Longji for this matter," Zhang Xiaobao said with a smile. He could imagine how excited Xiao Bei would be when he received Li Longji's secret telegram. At the same time, he prayed for Hongnong's people, hoping that they didn't have any weaknesses. If there was really a problem with the river in Hongnong, it would really be over. If they were targeted by Xiao Bei and his 9 children, they wouldn't be able to get away with anything. Wang Wan also laughed at the side. When she thought of the cute appearance of Xiao Bei and the others valiantly killing their way over, she couldn't help but laugh. That's good too. Xiao Bei and the others are Great Tang's patrol envoys. They have the authority and duty to patrol the entire Great Tang. There's no one in Great Tang that can't be checked. They can't just enjoy the treatment, right? When did they enjoy the treatment? Even their clothes were made by us. "Dear, this shows a problem," Zhang Xiaobao said, curling his lips. "What is it?" Wang Wan asked. "This shows that it's not easy for Li Longji. It's not that easy to be the emperor. He's always suspicious of this and that, and there are very few people he can truly trust around him. Even Li Bai and Wang Wei aren't at ease with Li Longji," Zhang Xiaobao explained. "Then why did we let Xiao Bei and the others go? Don't tell me you're not worried about them?" "That's right. The only people that Li Longji can trust now are people like Xiao Bei. Kids are easy to win over. Just give them candy, and they'll know what's good for them." Zhang Xiaobao shook his head helplessly. Wang Wan smiled again. "Then let's see how far Xiao Bei and the others can go. It would be best if they could kill a few people. Would Hongnong's people dare to make a move on Xiao Bei? Attack? If they attack, it won't be a problem of killing a few people. Send a telegram to Xiao Bei and ask them to come back quickly. Perhaps after the imperial examinations, we will immediately return to the northeast and settle the matters there as soon as possible." Zhang Xiaobao then called someone over to send the telegram. He looked at the sky outside and said, "Takeshita, Junichiro better move quickly. Otherwise, my arrangements will be easily seen through before the Jiangnan East Road people make their move." Even without Zhang Xiaobao's urging, Takeshita Junichiro was already working very hard. He assigned tasks to Yamamoto Kazumanji. On one hand, he was to buy land in Tang Dynasty. On the other hand, he was to find people to investigate the Ministry of Works. Furthermore, he was to treat people from morning to night in order to sign the lease contract for the steam engine ship and the gunship. The lanterns were already lit. When it was almost midnight, Takeshita Junichiro, who had been busy the whole day, staggered back to his place. Treating a guest meant drinking wine. Drinking wine would naturally make one drunk. After a day of torment, Takeshita Junichiro tried his best not to eat the dishes during the meal. He only accompanied the guests to drink. After the meal, he would drink as much water as he could to dilute the wine in his stomach. Then he would spit it out before drinking water. Despite all the work, Takeshita Junichiro, who had an empty stomach, did not feel hungry at all. When he returned to his room, he only felt that his throat was burning and his head was heavy. His eyes also felt uncomfortable, as if something was burning them. No matter how much he spat out the wine, he would not be able to spit it out completely. Furthermore, he could not immediately go out and spit it out after taking a sip. "I won't drink white wine tomorrow. I'll only drink rice wine." Takeshita Junichiro lay on the bed and rolled back and forth naked, hoping to find a comfortable position as he muttered. In the past, he thought that he could drink very well. After all, Japan's traditions were not much different from China's. Even the clogs and rice that he wore were learned from China. Therefore, Takeshita Junichiro also liked to drink when he was in Japan. However, Japan did not have such strong distilled wine as the Tang Empire. Now there was only sake, which was not on the same level at all. In the past, the officials of the Tang Empire drank rice wine and grape wine, but now they liked white wine. Takeshita Junichiro could not understand. What was so good about hot wine? It was not like it had been stored for many years. The wine that he drank the most today was the one that had been stored for 3 years, and the price was not cheap. After muttering for a while, Takeshita Junichiro gritted his teeth and panted. Every time he panted, he would exhale a large amount of alcohol from his mouth. There was no part of his body that was not hot. Even his stomach was hot. He wished that there was a swimming pool in front of him right now, and he could jump into it. It had to be cool, and it would be best if there were ice cubes in it. Just as he was feeling uncomfortable, Yamamoto also came back. His footsteps were also light, as if he was stepping on clouds. He also took off all his clothes. First, he ran to the other bed, beside Takeshita Junichiro, and lay down. Feeling uncomfortable, he turned over to the floor and opened his mouth to breathe like Takeshita Junichiro. Realizing that there was another person in the room, Takeshita Junichiro shook his head and stuck it out of the bed. He looked at Yamamoto and asked, "You're back? Have you eaten?" "Yes, I've been eating all day. I've been eating nonstop." Yamamoto's vision was hazy, and his ears were not very good. He tried his best to understand what Takeshita Junichiro was saying and replied, "Then go get some ice back. We'll eat. Ice cream is fine too." Takeshita Junichiro was really unwilling to move, so he could only instruct Yamamoto. However, Yamamoto was not angry at all, because he was also feeling uncomfortable. Just as he was thinking of a solution, when he heard that they were eating ice cream, he felt that it was fine. He got up, put on his clothes, and went out to buy ice cream. 15 minutes later, Takeshita Junichiro and Yamamoto, who had eaten more than 10 ice creams in a row, finally felt comfortable. At the very least, their heads did not hurt as much, and their ears were no longer buzzing. Takeshita Junichiro slowed down his eating speed and asked Yamamoto, "What did the people from Silla say? Did they say how much they were willing to pay to rent it? How many boats do they plan to rent? You just drank with them all day. What did they ask you?" Today, Yamamoto had gone out to make contact with the people from Silla. Since Japan also wanted to rent a boat, it was best to figure out Silla's plans first, so that he could respond when the time came. In fact, the last question Takeshita Junichiro asked was what he was most concerned about. He was afraid that Yamamoto would accidentally be asked something important. That would be troublesome, and his side would have to change their plans. Yamamoto tried his best to squeeze out a smile and said, "Don't worry. I didn't reveal any information to them, but they didn't reveal anything useful to me either. We just drank all day. We drank at the restaurant on the shore, drank while fishing by the river, and then drank again when we boarded a boat in the water. Later, we went to the 100 Fragrance Pavilion and found a few girls. We drank until I came back, just now. We didn't eat any staple food." As Yamamoto spoke, he touched his stomach with his hand and realized that he didn't feel hungry, but his stomach was cold. There was a cold liquid surging up his throat with a hint of milk. He had bought ice cream. It cost 2 coins each. It was very expensive, but it was also very pure. Takeshita Junichiro nodded and said, "That won't do. That's not right. You still have to go and drink with them tomorrow, but when you drink, reveal some information to them. For example, we are buying land in Tang Dynasty and want to buy more land. That's the right thing to do." Understood. When they hear that we want to buy a lot of land, they will think that we have given up on renting a boat. Then they will lower their guard against us, Yamamoto agreed. The two of them ate a few more ice creams until their mouths and throats were numb. Only then did they stop. They resisted the urge to vomit and panted heavily again. At this time, Yamamoto returned. Compared to Yamamoto and Takeshita Junichiro, Yamamoto was much better. He also drank today, but he didn't drink with others. He drank by himself and even found a few girls to accompany him. If he didn't need to come back at night to report the situation, he would directly stay at the girls' house. As soon as he returned, Yamamoto didn't wait for Takeshita Junichiro to ask. Yamamoto took the initiative to say, "I bought a lot of land today, and they're all around the capital. It's just that the price is a little high. I'll wait for it to increase in value in the future. I'll go and take a look tomorrow. Pay attention to the money you spend. Don't spend too much or you won't be able to break even," Takeshita Junichiro warned. He knew what Yamamoto and Yamamoto were planning. When Yamamoto mentioned it yesterday, he was very puzzled as to why they wanted to buy land in Tang Dynasty. He only understood after Yamamoto and Yamamoto explained it. The reason was very simple. The grain seed production in Tang Dynasty was very high now, and a new crop had appeared. At first, it appeared in Bohai Road, but then it spread to many places in Tang Dynasty. Although the crop had not been planted by the people yet, it was still new. Moreover, the taste had been tasted in the most luxurious restaurant between the clouds and the water, and it was very good. Yamamoto and Yamamoto's plan was to steal the seeds of Tang Dynasty. Now some seeds could be found in the fields, but the new ones might not be the same. It was possible that some of the Tang Dynasty's officials would plant them first and strengthen the security measures, not giving them a chance. Then they would buy more land around the capital. There was a high possibility that the seeds could fly over. Even if they didn't fly, they could set up shacks in the fields and then dig into the other party's field below. Of course, this was only one aspect. Another aspect was that the land in Tang Dynasty was annexing a lot. The land in the capital was more expensive, especially after that thing called the train. Presumably, Li Longji would not be satisfied with just the train from Chang until Luoyang. When the time came, there would be trains connecting many places to Chang and then the land around the capital that did not have buildings would probably be built. Looking at things from the perspective of development was something that Zhang Xiaobao had always advocated. If they did not buy it now and wanted to buy it when the time came, it was not a matter of how much money they had, but whether they could buy it or not. This was a long-term investment. They could not transport large amounts of materials from Japan every time they needed money. The sulfur and silver would eventually run out one day, and when that time came, his country would have nothing left. Sulfur was extremely important, as it was the raw material used to make gunpowder in the Great Tang. If one day, Japan also developed a method to make gunpowder, but there was no use for sulfur, then all those who supported the transportation of sulfur from Japan would be sinners. At the thought of this, Takeshita Junichiro felt a little pained. This was because many of the mines discovered in Tang Dynasty were no longer allowed to be mined. They said that they were to be left for their descendants. The things they needed were transported from other places, especially by sea. It did not matter if the distance was longer or the cost was higher. Tang Dynasty had descendants, but did that mean that Japan did not? Look at the silver being sold. Not only was the price low, but the silver had to be refined in Japan before Tang Dynasty could buy it. Furthermore, the quality had to be guaranteed. If this continued, the people of his country would definitely regret it one day. Buy it, we must buy it. Buy it and wait for their railway to be connected to more places. Once the transportation of goods and people are more frequent, we can build houses and rent them. Everyone, work hard for the sake of Japan's descendants. Takeshita Junichiro's gaze became resolute as he spoke to Yamamoto Kazumoto. Yamamoto and Yamamoto bowed at the same time. Yamamoto went to buy a lot of land today. The Japanese are really too smart. Wang Wan, who was lying next to Zhang Xiaobao on the bed, looked at the ceiling under the dim light of the bedside lamp and said, "Yes, they know how to play with real estate now. Moreover, their predictions are so accurate. They know that the trains from Tang Dynasty will be unimpeded. Since the capital is the center of a country, the logistics will definitely be more developed. When the time comes, there will not be enough space for people. Naturally, they will need the surrounding land to build new houses. Those people who sold the land are all fools. If I had known this would happen, I would have bought all the land in advance. But I was worried that if I bought too much land, others would suffer losses. In the end, the Japanese took advantage of it. No, I have to think of a way. I can't let the Japanese take advantage of this. This is not a small profit. Under certain circumstances, it cannot be measured by money. It can even affect politics." Zhang Xiaobao put his arms behind his head and looked at the ceiling angrily. He could imagine the development of Chang, and after the laying of the railway. At that time, it would not be surprising if the land price was 10 times more expensive than now. For reference, he could see that when he and Wang Wan bought the land in Beijing at that time, 600,000 yuan could buy 1 square meter. Around the second ring road, 1,000,000 yuan per square meter was priceless. The most important thing was that at that moment, the Japanese did not directly use all the land to make money. Instead, they let the Tang Dynasty's officials participate in the dividends. It was very common to get information from the officials and even directly let the officials speak good words for them. Wang Wan also knew the consequences, but she had no choice. If she had to find a way, it would be to directly declare that the land bought by the Japanese was not in accordance with the law and take it back to the country. But now the Tang Dynasty could not do that. Unless it was a time of war, the Tang Dynasty had to admit that the land bought by the Japanese was bought. She could not just tell the Japanese that they could not take over the land and then let the Tang Dynasty's officials and rich people not care, right? Xiaobao, do you have a good idea? Do you want to buy back the land from them again? They will definitely not sell it. Wang Wan had no idea, so she could only ask Zhang Xiaobao. No need to go through so much trouble. I will make their land useless. This matter is not urgent. I will slowly arrange it. I want to not only make them unable to make money from that land, but also make them lose money every year. Now, we have to solve the problem of them continuing to buy land. Tomorrow, release the news that I will first try to plant new seeds in the land around the capital. Don't let us spread the news and let others know. After all, I can't do that. Just treat it as a rumor. First, we will raise the price of the land. If the Japanese sell it, I will let them take advantage of me. If they don't sell it, then just wait and see. Zhang Xiaobao thought of a good idea. After he finished speaking, he laughed twice and took out his arm from behind his head and put it under Wang Wan's head to be her pillow. His other hand hugged her and whispered, "Wife, let me tell you the story of the big bad wolf and the little white rabbit. No, I am the little sheep. Well, the big bad wolf ate the little sheep in one bite. I am the Manchurian tiger. The big bad wolf went all out. If he couldn't eat it, then he would eat it." When the sun rose in the morning, a train stopped at the station of Wanyan County. Xiao Bei and the others stood in several rows and got on the train together. They sat in several compartments and listened to the rumbling sound of the train as it set off for Hongnong. Xiao Hai still had an indifferent look on his face. Xiao Zhu was still there painting. Zhang Chang, Zhang Gang, and the others were looking at the scenery outside the window and were very curious. Only Xiao Yuan's task was the most important. Not only did he have to consolidate his knowledge, but he also had to wait for Xiao Bei's orders at any time. Who asked his future wife to be so restless? As expected, not long after she sat down, Xiao Bei started to feel bored. The scenery outside could not attract her at all. She glanced at Xiao Yuan, who was sitting beside her, and said, "Xiao Yuan, do you think the officials from Hongnong could make a mistake?" "I don't know." Xiao Yuan answered very quickly. "Guess." Xiao Bei nudged Xiao Yuan. "I can't guess." Xiao Yuan was still so straightforward. "Then tell me a story. You have learned a lot. Tell me, and I'll nitpick." Xiao Bei changed her request. "My story is full of mistakes. I won't let you nitpick. I'll tell you a few sentences. You can nitpick 5 sentences." Xiao Yuan did not compromise. "Then the two of us will play chess." Xiao Bei revealed a pitiful look and blinked her big eyes at Xiao Yuan. "Hee hee." Xiao Yuan imitated an adult and laughed twice. Xiao Bei pouted and pulled on Xiao Yuan's arm, shaking it. "Just 2 rounds. 2 rounds. I promise. This time, my pawns won't get in the car, and my taxi won't jump to your jiugong, okay?" Xiao Yuan thought for a while and asked, "You really won't get on the train? Will your pawns still walk step by step? If they don't walk 1 step forward, you will beat the gong to retreat? Your cannon is no longer long range and can shoot from 6 stones away?" Xiao Bei nodded seriously every time Xiao Yuan said a word. She appeared very sincere. Only then did Xiao Yuan agree. "Okay. If you don't abide by the rules this time, I won't play with you in the future. Remember what you said just now. You're not allowed to use them again. There's really no need. That's too much of a bully." Xiao Bei happily called for someone to bring the chess pieces and let Xiao Yuan sit opposite her. She placed the pieces and started playing. In the end, Xiao Bei played first. The elephant went from 3 to 5. Xiao Yuan played 2 to 5. Xiao Bei's elephant went from 5 to 7. Xiao Yuan's horse went from 2 to 3. Xiao Bei's pawn went from 7 to 1. He landed on his elephant. Xiao Yuan was dumbfounded. She looked up at Xiao Bei. Didn't you say you won't do that? I didn't touch any of the pieces you said just now. I walked like an elephant and pawn." Xiao Bei explained, feeling wronged. "Then why did the pawn get on the elephant?" Xiao Yuan could not understand. "The elephant pawn is so stupid. Quickly play. In a while, my pawn still has to help the elephant cross the river." Xiao Bei looked at Xiao Yuan with a look of disdain. Xiao Yuan happily took away her own handsome and said to Xiao Bei, "You won. My handsome couldn't think straight and committed suicide." Chapter 9:14. Hearing that, Li Bai and Wang Wei looked at each other and found a place to sit down. Immediately, a teenager ran to them and asked, "What do you want to eat?" "Half a kilo of deep-fried dough sticks, soy milk, and some pickles," Wang Wei said to Li Bai. Wang Wei said to the child. He didn't dare to let Li Bai order, as it was easy to get drunk. Although Li Bai didn't drink as much now, his drinking habits hadn't completely changed, especially when he was outside. If he really drank too much, said the wrong thing, and caused trouble, Wang Wei would also be implicated. The kid didn't say much. He turned around and ran away. After a while, he ran back with a tray in his hand and put 2 bowls of soy milk and fruits on the table. Then, he took an iron tin box with pickles in it from the table beside him. He threw it there and ran to do other things. Li Bai opened his mouth but didn't say anything in the end. In fact, he wanted to emphasize that the pickles he wanted were cold dishes mixed with vegetables and bought with money. Like the pickles now, he didn't need to spend money. He could eat as much as he wanted. Anyway, they were as salty as salt. He could eat as much as he wanted. Eat it. I guess there will be a problem. Wang Wei picked up a deep-fried dough stick with his chopsticks and pressed it hard. The deep-fried dough stick was bent, and then he pressed it into the bowl of soy milk and said to Li Bai. Li Bai didn't think that he was talented as he used to when he left his wife's house. He was much more restrained now. Besides, he was much better than the historical Li Bai that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan knew. At least he now understood the meaning of the words of the person who came to eat breakfast just now. Hong Nong was really going to have a problem, so he nodded and drank a mouthful of soy milk. He smacked his lips and found that there was no sugar. When he was about to ask someone to get it, Wang Wei said at the side, "Don't think about sugar. Didn't you hear that the price of the steamed buns has increased? Who put sugar in you? The original flavor is better. Don't you like it?" "I never liked it. I was not born here. I'm used to eating porridge. The soy milk is tasteless." Li Bai didn't hide his dislike for the soy milk at all. Wang Wei didn't persuade him. He wanted to call the waiter over to add another bowl of porridge, but was stopped by Li Bai. "Forget it. Soy milk it is. You can't drink the porridge." "Yes," Wang Wei said naturally. Li Bai looked at Wang Wei in surprise and kindly told him, "Brother Maujie, you can say this in front of me. If you go back to the capital and meet people from the Zhang family and the Wang family, don't say this. If they hear it, you will be in big trouble." Wang Wei was puzzled. He looked at the soy milk in front of him and said, "I'm spending my own money. Why would they care? This is my own money, not theirs. If you met Xiao Bei, would she talk to you about this? Today, you are wasting your own money, but tomorrow, you may be wasting the imperial court's money. Not to mention other things, every month, they will stop giving you food, drinks, and clothes in the capital. If you go to between the clouds and the water again, you won't be able to eat such cheap food." Li Bai stayed with Xiao Bei in Jian, and for a while. He was influenced by Xiao Bei's 9 children and learned not to waste money. He felt that if he had money, he could eat all the noodles that cost 10 strings of coins. If he spent 10 strings of coins to order a table of dishes, he would end up with a pile of leftovers. That would be a waste. Li Bai didn't know where Xiao Bei and the others got this theory from. Anyway, this was what he did when he was with Xiao Bei and the other kids. He had never seen Xiao Bei and the other 9 kids throw away food. When they were in Jilin province, they only bought a little and ate a little. When they went to the restaurant to taste the new dishes, they would pack up the leftovers. If it weren't for the temperament they showed and the clothes they wore, others would think they were kids from poor families. After hearing Li Bai's words, Wang Wei took it seriously. He was most worried about the attitude of the Zhang family and the Wang family. Now, not only did he care about the attitude of the Zhang family and the Wang family, but almost all the officials in the capital were afraid of being targeted by the 2 families. To be precise, they were afraid of being targeted by Xiao Bei. When Xiao Bei and the other 9 children lived in Chang, they would come out every day. Who knew when they would meet them? If they were not careful enough, they would find something that could be used against them. It was not something that could be avoided with a simple smile. In this case, Brother Tai Bai, you should drink the soy milk. Look at the sky, it will still rain. After a few hours, the rain may be heavier. Wang Wei secretly remembered Li Bai's words. He looked at the sky and became worried again. 3 copper coins per kilogram of deep-fried dough sticks? Didn't it cost 2 copper coins before? Perhaps others also saw the rain and were afraid of being wet, so they hurriedly finished eating and shouted in that direction when they paid the bill. Li Bai and Wang Wei turned their heads and saw 3 people sitting at a table, 2 adults and 1 child. The 2 adults were drinking soy milk and eating fruits, while the child was just sitting there with no bowl and chopsticks in front of him. It seemed that 1 kilogram of fruits cost 2 copper coins a day before yesterday, but today it was 3 copper coins. The waiter quickly came over with a smile and said while tidying up, "The noodles have increased, the oil has increased, and so has the rice. Everything that can be increased is increased. If the deep-fried dough sticks are not increased, we will lose money. In fact, we will lose even 1 copper coin." "Kitten, wait for me. I will go with you later. I have an umbrella." The waiter's last words were said to the child, who was a little girl. After listening to him, she nodded and watched the two adults leave. It seemed that she also had the same intention. Li Bai suddenly understood. Just now, he thought that the adults were abusing the child. Now he understood. The child would eat at the school, which was much more sumptuous than the restaurant. Wang Wei put down his chopsticks and looked up at the sky again. It's not good. The price has increased. It is only 1 copper coin, but it is 50%. Strange. The food has increased by 50%, which affects the people's livelihood. Who is so bold? Maybe it is a temporary price increase. Li Bai knew what 50% meant. He was in charge of the Ministry of Revenue. Not to mention 50%, even a 10% price fluctuation could cause a great shock. Therefore, he attributed it to a temporary price increase. Wang Wei did not believe in temporary price increase and said, "Do you think that the food supply between Chang and Luoyang might be insufficient?" Then, who ate the leopard's guts? Li Bai pondered. It was true. Hong Nong was between Chang and Luoyang. How could he casually increase the price of food? Wasn't the county magistrate afraid of losing his head? The two looked at each other and could not think of anything. The only thing they knew was that their task was very important. The waiter over there cleaned up another table. When he came out again, he had an umbrella in his hand and a backpack on his back. He held the little girl's hand and skipped out of the restaurant. It seemed that it was time to go to school. The heavy rain fell without warning, accompanied by flashes of lightning in various shapes in the sky. Streaks of water appeared on the glass of the carriage, like beans hitting a dustpan. There was also the sound of thunder from time to time, which made the rumbling of the moving train much softer. Xiao Bei and the others began to eat breakfast. They did not let the chef of the dining car do the work. There was a special chef in the team who borrowed the space of the dining car and served the dishes one by one. Xiao Bei chose the egg custard cake. He did not allow the braising and only poured in the soy sauce. He smashed the cake with a spoon and pressed the bottom of the spoon to squeeze out the mixture of water and soy sauce. He drank it little by little. When it was almost finished, what was left was something like fish roe. This was the way Zhang Xiaobao ate the cake. She learned it. She only thought it was fun and did not understand why her brother ate it this way. In the past, Wang Wen also asked Zhang Xiaobao why he ate differently from others. At that time, Zhang Xiaobao smiled and explained that eggs were not something that could be eaten at any time in the orphanage. If he steamed the cake once, he was afraid that it would be finished in a few mouthfuls. Therefore, he ate it little by little. He drank the water first, and then the white things that were hard and unopened could be eaten as delicious snacks. Who did not know that it was delicious when it was tender? It was just to keep it for a while longer. Not wasting food was also cultivated at that time. He was really afraid of hunger. Water. Xiao Bei poured too much soy sauce. It was too salty. He stretched out his hand and asked for water. Immediately, someone passed over a cup of water. There was nothing in it, no sugar, no honey, and definitely not mineral water. The servants did not dare to put it casually. This was strictly stipulated by the young master and young lady. It's too salty. Xiao Yuan, who was sitting opposite Xiao Bei, raised his head and looked at Xiao Bei. He was also eating a steamed egg cake. The stewed egg was not expensive, but the stewed egg with mushrooms, fungus, desert cistanche, and venison meat was the most important part of this steamed egg cake. Xiao Bei was worried about how to eat the rest. When she heard Xiao Yuan's words, she smiled at him gratefully. When Xiao Yuan regretted speaking, she put the spoon into his bowl and scooped a large piece of cake back. Then, she used the spoon to poke the cake in her bowl. "Okay, Brother Xiao Yuan, you're so kind." As she spoke, she wanted to scoop more. Xiao Hai, who was eating the egg pancake, stopped and looked at his sister. "If you scoop more, Xiao Yuan won't have enough." Oh, Xiao Bei became obedient. Recently, she was a little afraid of her twin brother. Although her brother was always quiet, as long as he spoke, she had to do it. She even praised her big brother and sister. She could not stay still. She took a soup dumpling, blew on it, and slowly took a breath. Then, she said, I don't know why Uncle Emperor sent us here. It's still raining. Killing people. Xiao Hai explained to her. Killing who? Xiao Bei was not afraid of killing people or dying people. She had seen too many of them. However, she could not think of who to kill. She looked at her twin brother with an expression of asking for advice. Usually, her big brother and sister would say that Brother Xiao Hai was not bad. He had strong logical thinking ability. Killing officials and people who collude with officials. Xiao Hai's answer was very short. Why? Xiao Bei did not care who to kill. She only wanted to know the reason. Because you're on the move. Xiao Hai explained. Yes, I'm here. Xiao Bei still did not understand. Chapter 9:15. Li Bai and Wang Wei, who had no idea that they were being followed by a group of terrifying, armed men, finished their breakfast leisurely. They stayed under the shelter and looked at the air bubbles on the ground due to the heavy raindrops, feeling the dampness and coolness brought by the wind and mist. They remained silent for a long time. I guess it's true. It's been raining continuously for half a month. Natural disasters are hard to resist. 9 feet of thunder in the sky, sweeping across thousands of miles. East Sea Dragon King water, alas. Li Bai recited a few lines and suddenly lost interest in composing a poem. He sighed with a worried expression. Wang Wei smacked his lips and also felt bored. Suddenly, he thought of an important matter and said, half of the houses in the city should be gone. Why is there no water? As he spoke, his eyes followed the rainwater that fell to the ground and converged into a river. He showed a gratified expression and said, it turns out that drainage ditches have been dug. Look over there are wooden stakes nailed. They are afraid that people will accidentally fall in and be washed away. Li Bai followed his gaze and found that it was indeed the case. The converging small rivers flowed into the man-made drainage ditches and surged out into the distance. In this case, the local officials are a group of capable officials. Why did the imperial court send us here? For a moment, Li Bai felt that the imperial court was a bit stupid. Just as Wang Wei was about to nod his head in agreement, many silhouettes suddenly appeared in the rain. There were both young and old. Some of them were wearing raincoats, while others were letting the rain fall on them. Their clothes were wet and stuck to their bodies when the wind blew. Dad, here is the bun shop in the east of the city. Dad, let's go. Mom, there are buns to eat. A 7- or 8-year-old boy shouted excitedly in the rain. He pointed at the sign of the breakfast shop with his little hand and pulled the clothes of a woman with his other hand. Seeing the people who suddenly appeared, Wang Wei was stunned. From their clothes, it could be seen that the living conditions of this group of people should be good. They were wearing fine cotton clothes and shoes with layers of soles. Although there was a trace of the vicissitudes of life on their faces, it only showed that they were hardworking. It was normal for children to know how to read and write. They were taught in school. Their faces were full of baby fat. At first glance, it was obvious that they ate nutritious food. The problem was, why did this group of people not stay at home, but go out in the rain? Also, why didn't children go to school? While they were puzzled, a group of people squeezed into the restaurant. Some of them went to look for the owner of the restaurant. Wang Wei and Li Bai couldn't clearly hear what the person said to the owner of the restaurant. After a while, the newcomers found a place to sit down despite the humidity. Another woman served them food. Everyone was given a large bowl of millet porridge, but there were no deep-fried dough sticks, steamed buns, or biscuits. Only the child had a peeled boiled egg in front of him, and there was rice in the porridge. Without waiting for Li Bai and Wang Wei to ask out of curiosity, the woman opened her mouth first and said to the person who came later, "The county only gives us 20 copper coins a day to help with the disaster relief, and we can only give the money after the heavy rain and before winter. Furthermore, we are all on credit, so we really don't have anything else to give. Madam, give the child some deep-fried dough sticks." The owner came out with a fried dough stick in his hand and placed it in front of the child. The child obediently stood up and bowed. "Thank you, uncle." The owner was very happy and hurried into the restaurant. When he came out, he had a big goose egg in his hand, which was obviously salty. He also placed it in front of the child. The child thanked the owner again and quickly peeled the goose egg. He used his chopsticks to dig out the oily yellow part and put it in his mother's bowl. Then he tore more than half of the deep-fried dough sticks and put them in his father's bowl. He put the egg in front of the old man and prevented others from returning the food. He said, "I can read at home, so listen to me." As for the other adults, they didn't seem to be from the same family, so he didn't care. Li Bai and Wang Wei saw this and looked at each other for a moment. Then Li Bai said, "Add 2 steamed buns for each of you. Put it on us." Seeing that someone was willing to pay, the owner of the restaurant naturally wouldn't stop them. He took out the steamed buns and gave them to them one by one. Everyone quickly stood up and thanked Li Bai and Wang Wei. Li Bai and Wang Wei were not in a hurry to leave. They sat down and asked the owner to serve them some cold meat dishes with wine. They also used this as an excuse to drink 2 bowls of wine. They ate and drank while listening to others talk. As they listened, their expressions became serious. Li Bai, who had previously praised the county officials as capable officials, also stopped praising them. It turned out that apart from the county seat, all other places in Hongnong County had been washed away. In order to prevent the county seat from being washed away, the Honglu River had long been dug out. This was nothing to Wang Wei and Li Bai. It was very normal. In Zhang Xiaobao's book on how to resist disasters, it mentioned that if things didn't work out, the first thing to do was to rush to the villages to protect the cities. It wasn't that the villages weren't important. This rush referred to settling down the people in the villages. They only rushed for the land and houses in the villages, not the people. This was because if the cities were washed away, it would cost a lot of money to rebuild them. It was several times, or even dozens or hundreds of times more than the villages. The problem didn't lie in this. It was about the property when the people were talking. As a place between Chang and Anluoyang, the scale of the breeding industry in Hongnong was very large. It was close to the river. There were ponds for ducks and geese, groups of pigs, cows and sheep, and countless chickens. Needless to say, the fish and shrimps couldn't be sold. Taking advantage of the convenience of the Yellow River, the salt transported from Jili province was mixed with the fish and shrimps and put into jars to make marinated sauce. From the clothes these people were wearing and the education of their children, it could be seen that the lives of the people in Hongnong were not bad. Since they were not bad, what about money? What about things? Could it be that when they were avoiding the flood, they didn't bring other animals and money with them? Li Bai and Wang Wei, who were surprised, continued to listen. After listening for about half an hour, they understood. Apart from the county seat, the people in the other places in Hongnong were all brought to the county seat by the county officials. Before the Honglu River and its tributaries reached the point where they were about to burst, they were dug out in advance. Because the materials used in the construction were all solid stones and cement, it was quite difficult to dig them out. The river was opened, and with the continuous heavy rain, the county officials made a lot of guarantees, so the people followed. As for the various kinds of things, household appliances, and money, they were all made into booklets and said that they would be given them after the disaster. For those who didn't agree, they were either forced to carry out the order or left in the place where they were, regardless of the flood. Therefore, after several inspections and body searches, these people had no money on them. They could only wait for the county seat's yamen to help them. Although the county seat didn't give them food, Chang Pingsang didn't open the gate no matter what. He only distributed the people who were brought to the various restaurants and shops to eat. He didn't give the restaurants and shops cash, and he owed them money on credit. When these several things were put together, it gave people a very awkward feeling. Wang Wei was from the Ministry of Works, but he had worked in the local area before. He was in charge of the warehouse, and it was not far from here. He had also been taught by Su Si. Seeing that something was wrong, he asked Li Bai, "Brother Tai Bai, what do you want to say?" Li Bai was from the Ministry of Revenue. Even if he didn't want to take the initiative to learn, He had to do the forms and listen to the reports. Under the influence of others, he had a little understanding of money. After hearing Wang Wei's question, he felt a little dry in his mouth. He drank a big mouthful of wine and took a deep breath. He said, "This means that someone is in urgent need of money and dared to go to the natural disaster. He or she took advantage of it. He or she is smart, but he didn't use it in the right place. He or she has evil intentions, so we were sent here. It seems that the emperor knows about it and doesn't trust the local officials anymore. He sent us 2 officials from the imperial court to deal with this person." Wang Wei was a little angry, but also a little proud. He thought that him and Li by coming here showed that the imperial court attached great importance to this matter and put the burden on them. Li Bai nodded his head vigorously. His eyes were full of determination and solemnity. Of course, they would never know that Li Longji sent them here to test them. One was to test their ability, and the other was to test whether or not they were honest. Li Longji really trusted the 9 children who were about to get off the train. If the 2 of them did well, then the 9 children were just here to play. If they didn't do well, then no matter how difficult the situation was, and no matter whether they were in cahoots, Xiao Bei and the others would take care of it. The train stopped at Hongnong Station amidst the ear-piercing sound of brakes. Hundreds of people rushed out of the carriage. As soon as they reached the platform, they scattered in all directions and soon disappeared in the rain. The 5 people who had been at the platform for 3 days looked around in confusion. One of them said, "There are so many people today. They are in a hurry. They don't look like officials. Do you think there will be officials who didn't bring any attendants and directly entered the city to investigate?" The person next to him was also confused. After thinking carefully, he said with relief, "What are you afraid of? If there really is an official who went in alone, he won't be able to do anything. The city only allows people to enter and not leave. Look, what's that?" As the man spoke, he pointed at the carriages behind the bus that had just passed by. The bus in front had left, but the carriages behind were being dragged onto another track by a group of mules. The speed was very slow, and it was obvious that the things in the carriages were heavy. "Let's go and have a look." The person who spoke first rushed over. Because of the independence of the railway system, they couldn't get information from inside the railway. The 5 people went over and waited for a while. When all the carriages were in, the canvas covering the top was opened. There was an oilcloth inside. Looking carefully, they found that it was rice. Food. The person who spoke first spat out 2 words. He seemed very nervous. The other 4 people's expressions also changed. The second person who spoke looked around and said, "Quick, go back and report that food is here." Who is so powerful to know that the price of food in Hongnong County has increased? Chapter 9:16. Someone is spying on us. Xiao Bei, who had just settled down, came over and reported to her. Oh. Xiao Bei didn't like the heavy rain, so she nodded. It means that they are hiding something. The person who reported concluded. Xiao Bei suddenly understood. Yes, they wouldn't send people to spy on us if they weren't hiding something. No wonder Uncle Emperor asked me to come and catch the ghost. Then, Miss Xiao Bei, the next step? The person asked again. Next, you guys think about what to do next. Tell me when you've made up your mind. The unfamiliar environment made the smart Xiao Bei feel very embarrassed. She couldn't think of a plan, so she could only play to her advantage as a leader and let her subordinates think of a solution. Of course, when the matter was settled, she would give credit to her subordinates. She would share all the credit and not take it for herself. The Zhang family and the Wang family disdained to steal the credit of their subordinates. As leaders, if their subordinates did a good job, it would be a reward for their leadership. Those who could follow Xiao Bei and her 9 children were naturally not easy to deal with. As soon as Xiao Bei finished speaking, the person who came said, Miss Xiao Bei, there are 4 aspects. First, catch the 5 people on the platform and torture them to find out the truth. This plan will easily alert the enemy, which is disadvantageous for spying on Li Bai and Wang Wei. Second, go directly to the Yamen of Hongnong County and question the local officials. Let the local officials explain themselves. No matter how they try to cover it, there will always be loopholes. Third, disguise as the people of Hongnong County and understand the general situation. Then, follow Li Bai and Wang Wei. Observe them and ask about the situation of the people. Fourth, enter the disaster area of the county and see the extent of the disaster with your own eyes. Ask the people who haven't left their homes what happened recently. Xiao Bei blinked in thought. Just as she was about to make a decision, she stopped and said, "Wait a minute, find them and ask them." The 9 children quickly gathered together. Xiao Bei spoke and repeated the 4 plans. After that, he said, "Now, let's vote by show of hands. Which of the 4 plans of the think tank shall we choose? The first one, please raise your hand. All right, 3. The second one, please raise your hand. The fourth one has passed with 9 votes. I hereby announce that the 4th plan is to be carried out." After a democratic vote, the 9 children quietly left the platform and went to the countryside of Hongnong County. The 5 people who were keeping watch on the platform didn't know that they had been discovered. They were worried about the several carts of food that had been delivered. You can either destroy the railway and prevent the county magistrate from earning any more money if more grain is transported here. Or you can forbid them to unload the goods. One of the 5 gave an idea in a hurry. The other 4 listened to him and looked at him like he was an idiot. This was a train, not a carriage. There were no restrictions on the local authority, not to mention destroying the railway. The people who went back and forth to check could kill you at any time. Let's go and tell the county magistrate that we're in trouble. The other person ignored the heavy rain and hurried in the direction of the county yamen. Xiao Bei and the others didn't know how much trouble the 4 carts of grain would bring to others, but they didn't know the situation in the county. They brought the 4 carts of grain here because their elder brother was worried that it would be inconvenient to transport the grain when there was a disaster. Otherwise, it wouldn't be just 4 carts of grain. It would be more than 400 carts of grain. It was still raining. Li Bai and Wang Wei were also worried. The situation in the county was not optimistic. The 2 of them found the problem. Someone had embezzled the money and supplies in the disaster-stricken area and then raised the price of daily necessities in the county. As long as one was not a fool, one could guess what the embezzled goods were for. It was nothing more than taking advantage of the rising price to put little by little in the county to exploit the original operators of the ready-made goods. How dare they? Aren't they afraid of being investigated? Li Bai was so angry that he slammed the table and shouted. Wang Wei quickly covered Li Bai's mouth and smiled apologetically at the people around him. He said to Li Bai, "Keep your voice down. What are you shouting for? What's the use of shouting? Investigate? Who's going to investigate? How are we going to investigate? I'll investigate. Start from the beginning." Li Bai was so angry that his eyes were about to pop out. He had stayed in Jian County with Xiao Bei and the 9 children, stayed in the capital, and stayed in Luzhou. All he saw was a scene of justice. This was especially so for Xiao Bei's 9 children. Their abilities were not particularly outstanding, but they were very serious. They also followed the people to work in the fields. It was because they were filled with a strong desire to run Jian County while that the people risked their lives to do things. Xiao Bei could be said to be adorably stupid as a county magistrate, but she was willing to work hard and learn. She was willing to do things honestly. The most important thing was that her elder brother and sister were not afraid that their younger brother and sister would harm the local people. Even if the county with a population of hundreds of people didn't harvest anything, as the elder brother and sister, they could directly subsidize it. Li Bai felt the positive spirit of the county, so his heart was also full of a sense of justice. He believed that although the world was big, evil could not prevail over good. Wang Wei came to the capital from the local area. Back then, he met Su Si and was shocked by the care of the foreign affairs staff of the Zhang family and the Wang family. Through chatting, he also learned how to be an official. Therefore, he had a deep understanding of things in the local area. There were a lot of sayings there. Hearing Li Bai's awe-inspiring words, he sighed and said, "You can't find out. If I were the local official here, I would let you investigate as much as you want. I would help to take care of the property and money of the people outside the city." Unfortunately, the flood came fiercely and all of it was washed away. Do you know if it was really washed away? Where was it washed away to? I also helped the people outside to enter the county. Even if I didn't contribute, I still worked hard. As for the price of daily necessities in the county, I also didn't want to. But the road is difficult to pass, and the goods from outside can't enter. What should I do? If you don't believe me, you can go and see. I emptied my family's warehouse just to help the people. Why didn't Chongping Song open? It's not that I didn't want to open it, but Chongping Song was also washed away. I admit that I didn't repair it well, but I can't spend a lot of money to repair Chongping Song before the rain came, right? If it weren't for this unpredictable rain, how would I explain the money I spent? Wang Wei said in the tone of a local official. His excuses made Li Bai, who had never been an official in the local area, dumbfounded. After a while he said, "They can't be so shameless, right? How can they be shameless? We have been working hard to do things for the people. Compared to the safety of the people's lives, we don't care about our face. If possible, we would rather exchange our lives for the safety of the people." Wang Wei added another sentence. Li Bai gritted his teeth and asked, "Then what should we do? Don't we care?" In order for the inner courtyard members to live a comfortable life outside, there is actually a special department in charge of food and drink. He then touched the aluminum foil packaging and found that there seemed to be some bumps on it. He looked at it from the side and saw the words printed on it. "Chew slowly and drink more soup. Your health is our happiness." The fragrance of sandalwood rose in spirals, and the sound of the zither was melodious. In Hongnom County, in a side room of the third courtyard of the county yamen, there were two people sitting across from each other, playing chess. The die rolled a few times and stopped. A man in his 40s chuckled and said, "You fell into my Huaqing pool, right? Take off your clothes." The young woman opposite him said shyly, "Sir, I don't have 100 million. You're bullying me. I was also at the Huaqing pool just now. You said that women can't buy. If I buy, it will be you taking off your clothes. I won't let it go." Although she said that, her hands didn't listen. She took off her dress, revealing pink underwear. Her face was also the same color as her underwear. Beautiful, really beautiful. The clothing line of the Zhang family and the Wang family is indeed extraordinary. They can actually think of such beautiful clothes. "Baby, give me the die. Let me give you a good number." After admiring it for a while, the man took the die and casually threw it on the table. When the die stopped, the woman's eyes lit up. She carefully counted twice and said happily, "Sir, you're at my Xiaoyao residence at 9 o'clock. 5,000 coins. Sir, give me the money." As she spoke, the woman helped the man move a person to the first square in front. Okay, give me the money." The man casually took a bill from the side with the words 5,000 coins written on it and put it in the woman's hand. "Baby, it's your turn. If you enter my place again, you'll have to take off another piece." "Sir, you're so bad. You want me to take off my clothes? I'm so embarrassed. Sir, I'm going to throw it." The woman lightly bit her lips and was about to throw the die. "Not good, sir, not good." Before the woman could throw the die, a series of shouts came from the distance. After a few breaths, the door was knocked open with a bang. When the person entered the room, he was first shocked by the woman in underwear. Then he remembered what he was here for. "Sir, not good. Food, there's food." The person didn't care about hiding his body while the woman was screaming. He lowered his head and said to the middle-aged man in the room, "Why are you in such a hurry? Are you in a hurry to reincarnate?" The man was obviously very unhappy. He frowned and scolded. He then gave the woman a look. The woman quickly shook her snow-white body and left. "What's the matter? Tell me." The man's face was full of gloominess. He pushed the chessboard and asked. The person praised in his heart at the fastest speed. The county magistrate was really extraordinary. The lowest level of Monopoly game for children could be changed into a trading place for money. The woman seemed to be the proprietress of the Five Colors Tavern beside the main road outside the city. She was also bought by the county magistrate. As this thought flashed through his mind, the person continued to lower his head and said, "Sir, just now, this lowly one discovered that there were 4 trainloads of grain being transported to the station. This lowly one was worried. So despite the thunderstorm outside, this lowly one informed Sir." As he spoke, he wiped his face. There was indeed a lot of water on his face. Not only was there water on his face, but his clothes were also soaked. His hair was in clumps, and raindrops were dripping down from above. Some even gathered into small streams. The man, who was the county magistrate of Hongnom County, frowned more deeply. He patted his leg with his hand and asked, "Do you know who transported the food? Are they passing by or coming to this county? What did the people at the station say?" I don't know. Sir, the station is self-contained and is not subject to local regulations. I went to ask, and they asked me if I wanted to break the rules or destroy the railway. Otherwise, they would want to destroy the railway. How would I dare to respond? If I were to reply with more anger, he would be able to shoot me directly. The person wiped his face again and raised his head to reply. The county magistrate pondered for a moment and asked, "Are there many people following that train?" "Yes, there are hundreds of people, but they are not in a group. There are adults, old people, and children. There is even a pregnant woman who fell down." "Oh, it's okay. There are only 4 trainloads, not many. Let's see if there are other trainloads behind to continue transporting food." The county magistrate did not find anything wrong. How many kilograms of food were 4 trainloads? A trainload of 20 tons of food, 80 tons of food, 125,000 kilograms. The population of this county has now reached 30,000 people. How many days can a person live with more than 4 kilograms of food? Could it be that speculators know that the price of food in this county has increased and want to sell it? Then, "Sir, are we going to see who is unloading the food and transporting it to the county?" The person asked. "It's good to see. If they really want to transport it to the county, let me know." The county magistrate waved his hand and asked the person to leave. "Yes, I understand." The person immediately stood up and was about to leave. The county magistrate suddenly said, "Wait, it's raining heavily outside. Go to the back and drink a bowl of ginger water. Take care of your health. Someone make a bowl of ginger water and add more red pond." "Thank you, sir." The person gratefully left from a side door. "Sir, I accidentally tore my clothes just now and changed into a new one. Do you think it's okay?" After the person left, the woman came out from the back. She changed her pink underwear into a black one. Originally, it was just a hollowed-out underwear, but now it had become a sexy underwear. The county magistrate's eyes lit up. "Okay, this is it. Come, continue playing. It's your turn." Although he said so, the county magistrate's thoughts faded. He felt that there was something wrong with what the person reported just now. As for what went wrong, he couldn't figure it out. The woman seemed to feel that the county magistrate was in a bad mood and was absent-minded. She thought about what she heard just now and said, "Sir, are you worried about 4 carriages of food? What does a woman know? 4 carriages of food is a lot. If you want to sell it in this county, you have to look at my face first. Humph, do you think that Hongnom County can escape from my control?" The county magistrate was really thinking about the carriages of food. His face was gloomy as he said that. The woman laughed a few times and said, "Sir, how would I know too much? I just accidentally overheard it. I was just thinking about it. If someone really transported 4 carriages of food, it would be very simple. I just have to give him a portion of the profits and let him stay in the county. I'm just afraid that. At this point, the woman stopped talking. What are you afraid of? Tell me quickly. If you do well, I will give you all the money. The county magistrate said. Really? Darren, this concubine doesn't want Darren's money. What's there to be afraid of? What I'm afraid of is that someone has inadvertently brought food with them and doesn't intend to sell it. It's just a matter of habit. For example, Zhang Xiaobei from the Zhang and Wang families. If she went out, she would probably bring food, medicine, and many people. If you really meet such powerful people, you won't be able to keep them. How could their families not know when they go out? I'm just saying. Which aristocratic family is willing to run around in the rain? Not to mention Zhang Xiaobei. The woman held the dice in her hand and kept glancing at the county magistrate. Her body was slightly swaying, and the skin under her sexy clothes could be seen from time to time. Unexpectedly, her words touched the county magistrate's heart. The county magistrate had been feeling uneasy. When he heard the woman's words, he opened his eyes in horror and said, "No, Zhang Xiaobei, for carriages of food. Hundreds of people got off, old and young, and pregnant? Come on, investigate. Send people to check around the county. Don't let a single person go." After muttering a few words, the county magistrate shouted. Sweat dripped down from his forehead. If someone could see his back, they would see that his clothes were all wet in an instant. "Sir, why are you in such a hurry?" "Would Zhang Xiaobei come here for no reason?" the woman advised. You don't know. A few days ago, someone sent news that Xiaobei was in Wanyan County. How close is that to our county? A child can even go to Luoyang, let alone Wanyan County to Hongnong County. A child wouldn't care if it was fine. Zhang family and Wang family fit your description. As long as a child goes out, there will be a lot of supplies and people. What they are best at is disguise. There are old people, children, and pregnant women at the station. How can it be so coincidental? It's better to be safe than sorry. Go and investigate. You must find out. The more the county magistrate thought about it, the more he felt that this was the case. He ordered people to watch around the county. Then, Your Excellency, The woman regretted speaking so much. Go and have a rest. Take the money on the table. Sigh. The county magistrate's anger disappeared in an instant. He waved his hand and ignored the woman. Whether it was the woman's intuition or the county magistrate who was afraid of everything, they really guessed part of the truth. Xiaobei was here. But she was not passing by casually. She was here specifically for Hongnong. Naturally, the food was like the woman's analysis. As the elder brother, Zhang Xiaobao brought emergency food for his younger siblings. As for meat, there was no meat. Because if something really happened, it would be good enough to have food. Who would want to eat meat? Of course, there was no lack of meat for Xiaobei and her 9 children. When the county magistrate asked people to stop them, Xiaobei cleverly listened to other people's advice and went directly to the village outside the county. She wanted to see how bad the place Uncle Emperor asked them to come to was. It's been washed away. The autumn harvest is going to be washed away too? Damn the rain. Why does it have to rain now? Xiaobei, who was held in someone's arms and watched others move forward step by step with difficulty, pointed at the destroyed field and said, Xiaohai was also held by someone else. It was not that he was pretentious, but the ground was too muddy. The adults were wearing boots, so their calves could not be seen. If they really walked on the ground, they would be directly in the mud from the waist down. Hearing Little Bei's words, Little Hai looked at the water flowing down the edge of the umbrella and said, "This shows that technology is not advanced." Didn't Big Brother and Big Sister mention it when they were telling stories? There's a place where technology is advanced. If you want to make it rain, you have to use a special object to hit the sky to form a rain cloud. Then you hit something else, and the rain will fall. If you don't want to make it rain, you hit something else in the sky. Then the clouds that were about to rain will not rain and drift to other places. The people there don't believe in God and don't ask the Dragon King. I want to study mathematics well. Chapter 9:18. After parting ways with Li Bai, Wang Wei did not find an inn to rest. Braving the heavy rain, he passed by a grocery store and bought a bamboo hat at a high price. He covered his wet head with it to protect himself from the rain and prevent himself from getting sick. He walked along the street and entered the widest main road. Not long after, he saw the Hongnong County Yamen. There were 2 Yamen runners guarding the entrance. To be precise, they were enjoying themselves. A shed was set up at the entrance of the Yamen. It was large enough to protect the Yamen runners, sitting in the middle from the wind and rain. Light smoke with the aroma of meat drifted out of the shed. When Wang Wei breathed in the strong scent of cumin, he wanted to have another meal even though he had just eaten not long ago. Wang Wei's appearance did not attract the attention of the 2 Yamen runners. They continued to roast the delicious food. The egg-sized pieces of beef were skewered and turned back and forth on the charcoal fire. The oil dripped down and made a sizzling sound. A little salt was sprinkled to make the oil evaporate faster. When the cold wind blew, it had a different taste. Good life, good enjoyment. Standing at the entrance of the Yamen, Wang Wei praised softly. He continued, "Who said that torrential rain is difficult?" The light smoke drifted, like blood charcoal red and oil yellow. Don't forget that the immortal court is in the human world. Good poem. Come, make another one. I'll give you a skewer. A Yamen runner heard the voice and raised his head. He waved the unroasted skewer in his hand and praised. "Thank you. I'm not in a hurry to eat the meat. Are the officials in the county? I'm here because of the emperor's order to patrol this place." Wang Wei tried to resist the urge to take out the pistol he gave to the Yamen runner for self-defense and shoot him. His face was darker than the sky. While speaking, he walked into the shed and took out his identity document to show it to the 2 Yamen runners. The Yamen runner who spoke just now was stunned. He swallowed his saliva and nervously looked over. After a few glances, he confirmed that Wang Wei's identity was not fake. He smiled awkwardly and said, I didn't know that you were coming. Please forgive me for not welcoming you." The other Yamen runner beside him also had a good eye. He quickly handed Wang Wei a few skewers of freshly roasted meat and said shyly, "Sir, please have a taste. It's fresh and fragrant. I'll report it to you right away. Wait a moment, wait a moment." Wang Wei turned around and saw half of a child's head poking out from a corner not far away. He narrowed his eyes and sized up the 2 bailiffs. The muscles on his cheekbones moved upwards, revealing an expression that was both sad and smiling at the same time. He silently took the meat skewers, pinched cumin from the seasoning box beside him, and slowly sprinkled it on the meat skewers. He took a bite first, then turned around and waved at the child hiding in the corner, raising the meat skewers. Unable to resist the temptation of the meat skewers, the child stepped out in a flash. His 2 little feet stepped on the water alternately, creating a trail of waves as he dashed over. He first turned his head to look at the bailiff left behind. Seeing that the bailiff didn't make a sound, nor did he stare at him, he raised his little face and asked, "For me? Let's eat together, okay?" Wang Wei handed over 2 skewers. "Okay." The child took it happily and opened his mouth to take a bite. Suddenly he spat, "Bah! Who roasted it? The inside isn't cooked and the outside is burnt. Let me do it." The child didn't allow Wang Wei to explain. He snatched the remaining meat skewers from Wang Wei's hands, added his own, and put them back on the stove. Then, like a magic trick, he took out a small pair of scissors and quickly cut off the burnt meat. He smoothly flipped the meat skewers with one hand and with the other hand pinched the seasoning on the side and sprinkled it on the meat skewers from time to time. It didn't take long for the meat skewers to be cooked. Just by smelling them, Wang Wei found that they smelled much better than before. He looked at the child in surprise and asked, "Kid, how do you know how to barbecue?" "I opened a barbecue shop before I came to the county town. Let me tell you, it's not good to directly use fresh meat when barbecuing. There's blood that hasn't been cleaned, so you should first simmer it. Also, I don't know who cut this meat. It's too easy to break apart when you barbecue it. Moreover, the heat isn't uniform, so it'll get stuck in your teeth when you chew it. Today, you treat me to it." After the child finished speaking, he blew 2 puffs of air to disperse the smoke. Looking at the color of the meat, he nodded with satisfaction and handed the meat skewers back to Wang Wei. Wang Wei's mood suddenly became much better. It wasn't because the child knew how to barbecue meat skewers, but because of the child's optimistic spirit. He opened his mouth and bit off a piece of meat. While chewing, he nodded, "Delicious, good skill. I never thought that barbecuing meat skewers would require so much knowledge. Do you like barbecuing meat skewers in your family?" The child replied with a sure expression and nodded. "Yes, my family loves to eat meat skewers. My father said that if he doesn't like to eat meat skewers, he should never sell them to others. Because he likes to eat meat, he studies it and is devout." Hearing the child's words, Wang Wei was stunned. He just felt that the child was pitiful, so he invited him to eat meat skewers once. He didn't expect to hear such words. No wonder the child didn't show that he cared too much. It turned out that he was rich. There was no doubt about this. If the child knew that he would never sell the meat skewers he didn't like to eat to others, how could the child's business be bad? Thinking of this, Wang Wei asked the child, "How is the family now?" "Not good." The child shook his head and said, "A lot of money is gone. The 300 cows and 500 sheep that we just bought last month are gone. The chickens, ducks, and pigs are also gone. The loss is even greater. The most important thing is that the county school is full. I can't squeeze in, so I missed a lot of classes." "Well, don't worry, everything will be fine. When the flood passes, your cows and sheep will be back." Wang Wei comforted. No, this is not a natural disaster, but a man-made disaster. The previous county magistrate of Honglu River had built a very strong river. How could it be washed away? In fact, we know that County Magistrate Yan was short of money, so he dug up the river and took away our money and livestock. "I heard that." "Little brat, shut up. If you talk nonsense again, I will kill you." Before the child could finish his words, the bailiff who stayed behind roared loudly with his eyes wide open. He began to roll up his sleeves, looking like he was going to beat the child. Humph. The child hid behind Wang Wei and poked his head out. "The king is the boat, the commoner is the water. The water is the boat, 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 the water is the boat. You can seal my mouth, but how can you seal the hearts of the people in the world?" That's right, that's right. Wang Wei nodded repeatedly. A feeling of admiration for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan rose in his heart. This was the result of the Chaoyang operation. The child he met at breakfast was polite, but now the child was telling the truth. It was all thanks to the Chaoyang operation. When he was a local official, he heard that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan in Baoxing County had started the Chaoyang operation. He thought that the 2 children were bored and would not do anything. Who knew that in the whole Tang Empire, as long as there were merchants, there would be a school for the Chaoyang operation. Their contributions were boundless. "Sir, don't listen to his nonsense. The county magistrate is devoted to the people. However, the rain this year was very heavy, and the county magistrate was powerless. He could not eat and drink every day." The bailiff hurriedly explained to Wang Wei, with a bitter expression on his face. Wang Wei was no longer a greenhorn. How could he not know the truth? The only thing he could do now was to meet with the officials in the Yamen and try to understand the situation as much as possible. He would cooperate with Li Bai to collect information outside and report it to the imperial court when the time came. No wonder His Majesty didn't send anyone to help us. Hongnom County is now under the control of the local officials. Even if 200 or 300 people come with us, it will be useless. How can we arrest them if we can't find any evidence? He thought. If we arrest them by force, we will be besieged by the local officials. Wang Wei thought that he understood the emperor's difficulties and sighed inwardly. He turned around, touched the child's head, and said against his will, "Go. I believe that County Magistrate Yan is worried about your problem and trying to find a solution. You should understand the difficulties of the local officials. The river must be not strong enough. Go back to your family. I think County Magistrate Yen will find a solution soon. Go ah. How can it not be strong enough? I know. Go. No matter who built it, there will be times when they are careless. Everything will be fine. Wang Wei didn't let the child continue. He picked up a few skewers of barbecued meat and stuffed them into the child's hands. Then he pushed the child's shoulders and let him go. The child's eyes were full of confusion. Seeing this person, who should be an official, push him, he threw the skewers on the ground angrily. I knew it. None of the officials are good. I knew it. I knew it. Looking at the little figure running into the rain, Wang Wei pursed his lips tightly. I didn't know that Lord Wang was coming. I was late to welcome you. Please forgive me. At this moment, the door of the yamen creaked open, and a thin person came out first. Don't catch a cold. Don't catch a cold. If you are seriously ill, you will get an injection. It hurts. I am drinking medicine now to prevent it. Under the heavy rain, Xiaobei drank a bowl of Isatis indigotica powder and smacked her lips. The others also drank the medicine given by the team doctor. They didn't drink the sweet medicine, so the doctor didn't have time to coax them. Xiaobei casually wiped her mouth with her sleeve and pointed forward. Forward. The team waited in the direction she pointed. After walking forward for about a quarter of an hour, a river appeared. Xiaobei looked at Sister Xiaozhu blankly. Xiaozhu looked around and said, "This is a tributary of the Honglu water. This river is called the Honyuan River, which is the main river of Honyuan village. It seems that there must be something wrong with the Honglu water, which caused this place to be flooded." Xiaobei nodded. Since Sister Xiaozhu said that it was the Honyuan River, it must be right. Sister Xiaozhu was not only good at drawing, but also very good at drawing maps. She had a strong sense of direction. At this time, the person in charge of observing nearby said, "Xiaobei, there is a bridge in front. Unfortunately, it has been submerged by the water, leaving only a bridge deck half hidden under the water. We can cross it. Then, let's find a high place to cross it." Xiaobei took the umbrella from the person next to her and held it. Under the protection of the others, she walked toward the bridge. Just as they stopped at a large slope beside the bridge, the water level of the river suddenly rose, and a flood peak came from upstream. If one looked carefully, they could see dead pigs and dogs with their big bellies floating in the water. There were also countless branches and grass. Not good. The bridge is going to be damaged. A big tree is being washed down. When Xiao Yuan looked with her binoculars, she saw a big tree crown floating in the river upstream. Presumably, there were roots hanging down from the tree. It was not completely horizontal and was slanting toward the bridge. Xiaobei and the others were shocked. That tree was as thick as two adults hugging it. For such a thick tree to be washed over by the water, one could imagine the consequences if it hit the bridge. Just like that, the crowd watched as the big tree crashed toward the submerged bridge. Boom, crack. Everyone felt the ground under their feet tremble. When they looked at the bridge again, their eyes were wide open. They saw that the tree that crashed into the bridge was broken at the waist where it came in contact with the bridge. The upper part of the tree, with white stubble, smashed into the bridge. Because of the tree's existence, the water did not directly pass through the bridge. The exposed part of the bridge had a big crack and a few small cracks. As for the smaller cracks, they did not know. But even so, the bridge was not destroyed. Ah, that works? Who built the bridge? It's flooded and hit by a big tree, but it can still hold on? Xiaobei's eyes were wide open as she stuck out her tongue. Two people in the group immediately jumped down, ignoring the water that was rushing toward them. They swam to the bridge where a pillar was exposed on the shore. They dived in and touched it. Then they held onto the bridge railing and shouted to Xiaobei. There are words on it. 18th year of Kaiyuan, Xia, built by the village school, Zhangzheng Construction Group. As they spoke, there was a hint of pride on their faces. Huh. Xiaobei waved her little fist excitedly. I knew it. The sturdiest part must be built by my family. Zhangzheng Construction, strong bones. The others were also proud. The person in charge was puzzled. Based on what you said, Honolulu River's Water Conservancy project should also be built by our family's construction group. Usually, after finishing the local project, they use the profits to build the main body of the local school. Since that's the case, why did the dam burst? Yes. How can it be broken? Could it be that the construction team cut corners? I'll lend them some guts. Xiao Bei was also puzzled. Something must have happened that outsiders do not know about. Let's wait until the investigation is over. Xiao Yuan chimed in. The group of people waited for half an hour on the slope. After the flood had passed, they continued to move forward. When they were crossing the bridge, they carefully looked at the place where the tree hit. There were 2 steel bars that were directly broken, and a few that were bent. The net made of iron wires that were as thick as a pinky finger was also broken. Inside the net, there were cobblestones and small pieces of cement scattered everywhere. The main body of the bridge had a big crack. The crack extended all the way to the middle of the bridge, but even so, the bridge was still horizontal on the river and did not collapse. Chapter 919. A bend is complete, a wrong is straight, a pit is full. A man does not compete, so no one in the world can compete with him. Xiao Bei and the rest listened attentively. There are quite a few people. Xiao Bei seemed very happy, but suddenly frowned and said, What bend is complete? Who bend? If others bend, I'll be complete. A man does not compete, so no one in the world can compete with him. If we don't compete, this society won't develop. If we don't compete, won't we be bullied to death? If Zhengzheng Construction Group doesn't compete, do you have a house to study in? It would have been destroyed by the water. Don't explain blindly. What nonsense is this? The teacher is just teaching the students. He didn't say that the students have to learn from any particular lesson. The water has been flowing for a few days now. What do they eat? Xiao Yuan said to Xiao Bei and started to worry about the people in the house. Xiao Bei stuck out her tongue. Only you know. What do they eat? Don't tell me they catch fish and eat grilled fish every day. Let's go and take a look. As she spoke, Xiao Bei ran towards the house and accompanied her. The water went from her calves to her thighs, from her thighs to her waist, from her waist to her breasts, and from her breasts. There was no change from her breasts. The only change was that Xiao Bei took off her bag and held it with both hands. Xiao Yuan immediately ran after her. After a few steps, she shouted, Oh my God, puff, puff. The water went over Xiao Yuan's head. She swam up and spat twice. She shouted to Xiao Bei in front of her, Why didn't you tell me? Xiao Bei, who was in front of her, steadied herself as if she was stepping on solid ground. She turned around and laughed. You have a bad idea. You stepped into a deep place. Follow me. Maybe the children in there are starving. You're the child. The children in there are probably older than you. Wait for me. Xiao Yuan took off her bag and held it above her head. Not much water went in just now. The others also jumped down and swam towards the house. Everyone in the group knew how to swim. This was the basic skill of the Zhang family and the Wang family. Everyone had to know how to swim. As for the reason, only Wang Wan knew. It was all thanks to Zhang Xiaobao's grandfather, who was washed away by the water when he saved him. If Zhang Xiaobao could swim at that time, it might have been a different outcome, and there might have been one less international swindler. The sound of reciting or reading aloud continued to come from the house. The water that came down from the upper reaches circled around the house and formed a whirlpool, spinning and appearing in front of everyone from time to time. Not only was Xiao Bei not afraid, he even had the leisure to follow the whirlpool. Every time he was about to reach the center of the whirlpool, he would exert his strength and jump up to the spot where his thigh was exposed, avoiding the whirlpool. He controlled it very well and didn't get sucked in by the whirlpool and swim out from the bottom. This ability to swim was also related to talent. Not everyone had it. At least in the group, there were more than 10 people who stayed far away from the whirlpool when they saw it. They didn't dare to follow the whirlpool, afraid that they would be half dead when they were rescued. The first floor of the 3-story house was completely submerged in water. The water was only about 1 foot away from the window on the second floor. Xiao Bei controlled his feet slightly so that his head could be facing the window on the second floor. Looking in from the outside, there were about 30 students sitting in the classroom on the second floor. A teacher, or rather, the school's headmaster, sat in front of the blackboard. He held a ruler in his hand and shook his head as he listened to the students reciting from the books below. Xiao Bei couldn't tell the teacher's age. He only knew that the hair on his head was completely white, and there were many wrinkles on his face. The students were very focused, and no one saw so many people swimming in from afar. Xiao Bei pressed her face against the glass of the window. She supported her bag on her head with one hand and used the other to knock on the glass a few times. In front of her was a female student in her teens. She was reading seriously when she suddenly heard the noise. She turned her head and was so scared that the book in her hand fell on the table. She opened her mouth and stopped for 2 or 3 seconds. Then, a sharp voice rushed out from her throat. "Ah, ghost." After shouting with all her strength, the female student's face turned pale. Her shout scared Xiao Bei, and she almost sank. She made a face at her and said, "Why are you shouting? Are ghosts as cute as me? Open the window and let us in. What if we catch a cold in the rain?" While Xiao Bei was talking, the recitation in the room had stopped. The children and the teacher looked outside together. There were a lot of heads floating on the water. There were many bumps on the heads. "Don't be afraid. They are people." The teacher comforted the student and walked to the window in puzzlement. He opened the window and looked into the water. He did not know where the group of people came from. Xiao Bei moved her feet and came to the open window. She raised her bag and said, "Grandpa, help me. Hold my bag. I'll go in." The teacher took Xiao Bei's bag blankly. Xiao Bei used her arms to support her body and climbed to the window. She rolled in and wiped the water on her face. She complained, "It's raining so hard." Xiao Yuan was the second to jump in. The people behind him went in one by one. The people who went in first pulled them in, and they all went in together with their bags. Besides Xiao Bei and the other 9 people, there were 6 adults with the best skills in the classroom. The others went out through the main door and went to the corridor to rest. Until the window was closed again, the teacher, standing by the window, did not say a word. The 30 or so students were also shocked. "Grandpa, let's not go to class for now. Let's understand the situation. You sit, I'll just stand. It's all wet and empty. When I came here, I thought everyone was gone. I didn't expect there to be so many students. How many people are left in our school?" Xiao Bei pulled the teacher's chair over and asked the old man to sit down. She wiped the water off her hair and said with a natural expression. The teacher sat in a daze. When he heard Xiao Bei's voice, he broke out of his stupefied state and asked the question he should have asked first. Who are you? Who are you?" "Grandpa, I am Xiao Bei, the cutest child in the world." "Xiao Bei, Zhang Xiao Bei," Xiao Bei said boastfully. "Zhang. Xiao Bei, who are you?" The teacher still could not figure it out. "I am the cutest child, the darling of the Zhang family and the Wang family." Why didn't you, Grandpa, think of it?" Let me remind you. Do you know Zhengzheng Construction Group? It's my family. I am Zhengzheng Construction Group? Unyielding? You are Zhang Xiaobao's younger sister? So it's you, Zhang Xiaobei?" The old master finally reacted. He pulled Xiao Bei into his arms and wiped the water off Xiao Bei's face with his veiny hands. As he wiped, he said, "Why didn't you stay in the capital? Why did you run around? If you catch a cold." Xiao Bei tried her best to avoid him. She tilted her head back and closed her eyes tightly. Her face was scrunched up. The smell of the chalk dust on the teacher's hand was too pungent. The teacher did not realize it until he thought that he had wiped Xiao Bei's face dry. Only then did he let Xiao Bei go. He reached out to pull Xiao Yuan, but Xiao Yuan dodged him. He reacted and squeezed out a smile on his wrinkled face. He looked at Xiao Bei carefully and asked, "Are you hungry? Have you eaten?" "Yes, I'm not hungry." "Grandpa, have you eaten? Have they eaten?" Xiao Bei rubbed her face with her small hands and pointed at the children in the classroom. "Yes, they have all eaten. Go, take a bath and change your clothes. Don't fall sick. Xiao Jiu, go and bring a plate of fruit." The teacher happily and excitedly ordered a child. "Ah, fruit?" Xiao Bei was shocked. The other 8 children were also puzzled. When they came, they had already thought about it. The children in the school had been hungry for a few days and needed to replenish their food. Who would have thought that the old man would ask them to take a bath and bring them fruit? Xiaojiu, who was ordered, happily agreed. She ran out of the classroom with her 2 little legs. It seemed that she was going to get the fruit. Xiao Bei shook her head and remembered the important matter. She quickly asked, "Grandpa, how many people are there in our school? Why did it flood the entire first floor?" "It was Uncle Emperor. Oh, it was the current emperor who ordered us to patrol the place and ask about the suffering of the people. We also caught corrupt officials. If we can't stand it, we can kill them." When the teacher heard Xiao Bei's words, he was stunned at first. Then he suddenly covered his eyes with his empty hand and cried bitterly. After sobbing a few times, he raised his head again and sighed, "There are still 145 people in the academy, including the teachers. Now they are divided into 5 classes, and my class has the most people. It's flooded, it's flooded." "Is it because they cut corners?" Xiao Bei interrupted and asked. "Oh, don't be afraid. No, it has nothing to do with your family's construction. The previous county magistrate built the embankment, and it was very strong. It was so strong that this dog official wanted to make a hole. He actually spent 3 days and 3 nights digging and blasting. When the person digging the embankment, when the pickaxe fell on the embankment, a string of sparks flew out. Many people were injured by the flying stones. 3 days, a full 3 days, he finally made a hole in the embankment and flooded Homnong County." The teacher gritted his teeth and jumped out word by word. His voice trembled along with his body. Xiao Bei swallowed a mouthful of saliva and opened her mouth in shock. "Ah, like this? I'm so angry. No, I'm going to kill people. If I don't kill people, I won't be able to sleep. Come with me." As she shouted, Xiao Bei was about to rush out of the window. The teacher quickly hugged Xiao Bei and didn't let her move. "Xiao Bei, listen to this old man. You can't go. There are many people in the government. You can't go. Go tell your brother and let your sister bring people here." At this time, Xiaojiu, who had just gone out to get the fruit, came in and advised, "Even if you want to go, you have to rest well first and eat the fruit." Chapter 9:20. Xiao Bei had eaten a lot of canned food, but he had never eaten in a school that had been flooded for more than half a month. The child, called Xiao Jiu, brought a can of peaches. The peeled peaches lay quietly on the plate, forming a strong contrast with the heavy rain outside. Xiao Bei did not struggle to get out of the window. He stood in front of the desk, protected by the old master's arm, and asked, "Do we still eat canned fruits in our school?" "Yes, not only canned fruits, but we also have canned meat, canned fish, and canned vegetables. Otherwise, we would have starved to death." "Xiao Bei, you must not fight with Yanzheng." The old master pulled the tray of canned food closer to Xiao Bei and said with a kind face, "What? Is he very powerful? Is he very arrogant? Is it possible that all the yamen runners in the county have the ability of the Golden Guards? And the same equipment as my protection team, carrying 2 pistols and a submachine gun? Then I will send a message immediately and ask my brother and sister to form an army and come here." Xiao Bei turned his head and said disdainfully. The old master shook his head. "No, the yamen runners do not have that ability. They are the people who protect the emperor and do not have pistols or submachine guns. But they do have handguns, firecrackers, and iron beads. What if they get hurt? Our Xiao Bei is the cutest. Take a shower later, change your clothes, and eat your fill before we think of a solution, right? Yes, yes. Xiao Bei nodded repeatedly and smiled like a flower. Like I said, no matter how powerful he can't compare to my family. That's true. The old master admitted. Where do the food you eat come from? Xiao Bei temporarily gave up the idea of immediately killing people and became curious again. Where else can it come from? It's all given by kind-hearted people. The old master sighed and said, ever since the school was built, all the businessmen who participated in it put forward a special condition. That is, they will use the school's empty space as a warehouse, and the school will be responsible for the security. Why? Who was begging them for money? The Chaoyang operation is voluntary. Those who are not willing to pay are not allowed to recruit graduates from the Chaoyang operation to work for them in the future. Otherwise, they will be confiscated. Not only do they have to work as warehouses for them, but they also have to help them guard them. Merchants are really bad. Well, except for my brother. Xiao Bei indeed knew a lot. When he heard the old master's words, he was filled with righteous indignation. He briefly explained the rules of the game, causing Xiao Yuan and the others to nod and cooperate. Sigh. That's what I thought too. The old master's eyes widened a little when he saw Wei Wei. The wrinkles at the corners of his eyes became lighter, but the grooves on his forehead became more obvious. I only understood after I got the water. The merchants who paid for the school had put a lot of thought into it. There were merchants of medicinal herbs, merchants of clothing, merchants of canning factories, merchants of grain, and even a chain store that sold meat. They built a freezer in the basement of the school and delivered frozen meat every year when the weather was hot. Xiao Bei blinked as he listened. When he heard this, he asked. There were so many merchants, and they were all here to take advantage of the school? Looks like I have to tell my brother that the school is a place to learn. The old master smoothed Xiao Bei's hair back and used a fork to pick up a piece of canned peaches. As he fed Xiao Bei, he said, yes, I used to think so too. But after the water was sent, I realized that I was wrong at the beginning. These merchants did use the empty space in the school as a warehouse, but every time they transported something to be sold, they would leave behind 1/3 of it. Before the new batch of goods arrived, the 1/3 they left behind wouldn't be touched. In other words, they had been stashing 333% of the capital of the school's warehouse in the school's warehouse. Xiao Hai suddenly interjected. When the old master looked over, he continued, they had already transferred a portion of their capital to the school's warehouse. They gave up a part of their working capital permanently. The bigger the warehouse is, the more they will lose. Every time the price of goods exceeds the cost price and the supply and demand relationship has not reached saturation and balance, they will lose a part of their working capital in the market. The shorter the cycle of supply and demand, the more they will lose. Xiao Bei was confused. He didn't understand what his brother, who was only a little older than him, was talking about. He asked in confusion, what cost? How much did the canned food cost when it was manufactured? That's only a part of the cost. The canned food has a shelf life. Every day it's in storage will increase the cost. Of course, the cost of storage and safety are saved, but the cost of saving is only 2/3 of the total cost. The investment is not proportional to the output. I don't know how to explain it. I'll ask my brother when I get back. The exact calculation is 100%, but 1/3 of the total cost needs to be calculated again. That's a headache. Xiao Hai was also confused. If he really wanted to figure it out, he would need to include the actual price of goods and the price of futures. This was not something he could understand. It also involved the problem of the market saturation of certain goods, the supply and demand relationship, marketing methods, and so on. He had not learned probability, nor had he come into contact with fuzzy algorithms. He had only just learned the meaning of cost accounting. Xiao Bei was even more confused. What nonsense was this? What did Brother Xiao Hai mean by saying so much to him? What do you want to say? Xiao Bei finally couldn't help but ask. What I want to say What Brother Xiaohai wants to say is that kindness is like water. Water is good for all things and does not compete, explain, or hide. Just like what you heard when you came here, a man does not compete, so no one in the world can compete with him. What is good is good. Do not speak or argue. Xiao Yuan opened his mouth and bit the peach that Xiao Bei had not finished eating. He vaguely explained to Xiao Bei. After hearing the words of the three children, the old man was stunned. Today, he finally saw the legendary power of the education of the Zhang family and Wang family. When Xiao Bei saw the canned fruit, he didn't think about whether it was delicious or not, but where it came from. He asked about the life of the children in the school. That Xiao Hai said a lot of things that he didn't understand. Xiao Yuan, who was beside him, could actually understand the words in the book. It was said that the education of the Zhang family and Wang family in Sanshui County was extraordinary. He didn't believe it in the past, but after seeing it today, it was indeed amazing. As the old man thought about it, he was full of admiration. When he saw Xiao Bei look at him blankly, he explained, Xiao Bei, it's actually saying that all the businessmen who participated in the warehouse wanted to help the school. They would rather earn less money so that the school would have something for the students to use when the disaster struck. Oh, I know. They are all good people, right? At least from the perspective of the school, they are good people, right? I understand. Sometimes I'm very stupid, but I'm still the cutest Xiao Bei, right? Xiao Bei thought hard and finally understood a part of it. The old man hugged Xiao Bei tightly and nodded. Yes, yes. Xiao Bei is the cutest. Then go bathe and change your clothes. Yes, yes. I'll go now. Grandpa, how long will the school's food last? If it really doesn't work, find some wood, line it up, and leave with me. We brought a lot of food and left it at the train station. Xiao Bei was about to leave when he thought about the food. A lot more. It's fine even if we are trapped for 3 to 5 months. There are more than 10,000 kilograms of people frozen in the cold storage. I'll get someone to make you braised pork later. Go and bathe. Don't catch a cold. The old man looked at Xiao Bei and the others with relief. Xiao Bei nodded hard. Okay, I'll go right away. Remember to make the braised pork thinner and thin slices of ginger. Don't fry the sugar. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Achi. This big brother, greetings. Can you tell me where to go to the clinic? Achi, in the county seat of Hongnong County, Li Bai, who was drenched by the rain, felt cold all over. According to the booklet sent by Day Hospital, he should have a fever. There were many ways to deal with this situation. The simplest was to find a clinic. The second best was to find a safe place to take a hot bath and drink some ginger sugar water. If there were ice cubes, it would be better to apply it. Ever since Li Bai left his hometown, he had encountered such situations many times and survived them. But today, he was not going to endure it. He had money, and he wanted to get better treatment. Therefore, he decided to go to a medical center to have a look while he was still sober, under the stimulation of the cold rain. The person who was stopped by him looked at him with pity and said, I advise you to find a place to rest. Drink a few bowls of hot water, sleep well, sweat, and maybe you won't feel so bad when you wake up. What about the clinic? Li Bai still did not give up. The clinic has no medicine. If you want to see a doctor, go to the county government office. All the medicine has been taken into the government office, and the doctor has also been invited. The passerby said a few more words. Thank you. Li Bai had already heard it clearly and also thought of the cause and effect. The Yamen took the people and medicine away, intending to collect more money. What he didn't understand was who had the guts to touch people in the medical field. The people stationed here should be people from the Day Medical School. Their guts weren't small. After hesitating for a while, Li Bai gave up the idea of going to the county government office and staggered into a nearby inn. As soon as he opened the door, before the shopkeeper inside said anything, he said, I want a good room, ginger sugar water, quilts, and quilts. You're tuning in to the Echo Reads YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.